You practice immortality. I cultivate the land. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 651, Prison Suppressing Vajra Statue. Xuan carefully picked the golden bodhi seed and focused his mind on it. Vajra bodhi, a 5th grade spiritual fruit, is cultivated and nourished by the power of incense, vows, and other Buddhist forces. After taking it, it can greatly strengthen the body, strengthen the blood, and ward off evil spirits with a single move. At the same time, it can also speed up the practice of Buddhist skills and supernatural powers. It can improve the strength of the body. This Vajra bodhi is not bad. Xuan pinched the golden bodhi seed with the power of Buddha flowing in his fingers, thinking secretly in his heart. However, he had only taken the 6th grade Tsui meat for a few years, and the power contained in it had not been fully absorbed and digested, so he had no plans to swallow the Vajra bodhi for the time being. He put the Vajra bodhi in a beautiful jade box and put it into the gluttonous insect sack. It's time to harvest the light ball again. Xuan looked at the white light ball that quietly appeared on the top of the spiritual plant, with a lot of expectations in his eyes. The 5th grade spiritual plant is also an extremely rare variety related to Buddhism. I wonder what kind of rich light ball reward it can produce. He reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball. As soon as it touched, the light ball shattered silently and turned into tiny light spots all over the sky. The light spots condensed into a pale white Buddha statue, which instantly sank into Xuan's body. At the same time, a thought emerged in his mind. Harvest a 5th grade Vajra bodhi and obtain the 6th grade treasure, the prison suppressing Vajra statue. As the thought flashed through his mind, a small Buddha statue appeared in front of Xuan. The Buddha statue was only the size of a palm, blue-black in color, with angry eyes wide open and a majestic face. He held the Vajra Dharma instrument in his hand and stepped on a bunch of hideous demons and evil spirits under his feet. He looked down and seemed to want to transcend them all. Xuan quickly concentrated his mind on the Buddha statue, and suddenly, information about the Buddha statue appeared in his mind. The prison suppressing Vajra statue, a 6th grade treasure, was sculpted and refined by the Buddha of the Buddhist Holy Land Hanging Temple, based on the prototype of the prison suppressing Vajra. After offering sacrifices and refining, the input of spiritual power can stimulate the prison suppressing Vajra Dharma. The Dharma image has a strong Buddhist power and has mastered several Buddhist magical powers. It can subdue demons and kill evil spirits. With the increase in the number of times it is used, the power of the prison King Kong statue will gradually weaken, and it can be restored after injecting Buddhist power. A 6th grade Buddhist treasure. It's plug and play. Xuan's heart was filled with strong joy. He had previously opened several 6th grade treasures, including the Blood Nerf, Xuanshan King Wei Mao Fa, Soul Capturing Blood Palm of the Power and Magical Power type, as well as the Jade Liquid for clearing the marrow, to help promote the formation of Dan, and the Jade Claws of the Material type. Although each of them is extremely rare, it cannot directly greatly improve his strength. This prison King Kong statue is different. After being activated, it can release the Buddhist Dharma image, which is especially restraining demons and evil spirits, which greatly improves Xuan's strength. If the evil cultivator is still wandering around the cave, we can easily kill him with this prison suppressing Vajra statue and other treasures. The cultivator's origins were obviously not right, and he was restrained by the Buddha statue, so it would be easier to deal with him. Xuan thought to himself, carefully put away the Buddha statue, and then sacrifice it after finishing farming. High-level spiritual plants above the 5th grade are too precious. Perhaps a ball of light can make up for a lot of strength gaps. If there is a chance, we must try to get high-level spiritual seeds as much as possible, preferably not less than the 5th grade, and the 6th and 7th grades are even better. Xuan thought to himself, while checking every spiritual plant in the spiritual field. Fortunately, there are more than 10 or 20 spiritual plants of the 5th grade, and above in the spiritual field, and there is even a 7th grade Yimikingloiteng, which makes him feel confident. I have quite a few 5th grade treasures on me. Since I have been staying in the cave for a long time, and have not had to compete with other cultivators for opportunities and treasures, I have not even used some of them. If there is a suitable opportunity, I can exchange them for some higher grade spiritual seeds. After breaking through to the Jiandan realm, Xuan had enough confidence, and planned not to hide all the 5th grade treasures. Some of the less useful ones could be exchanged for spiritual seeds, spiritual beast eggs, and seed condensing methods. He came to the sword grass area. The 3rd grade lightning sword grass, which was previously improved from ordinary 2nd grade sword grass spiritual seeds, was growing well. Each sword grass was like a silver white long sword pointing straight to the sky. There were subtle lightning, arcs jumping and swimming on the sword body, and countless sword rays, and lightning rays mixed together, flying around wantonly. The 3rd grade sword grass, with my current Jiandan realm, if I cultivate it at a lower level, there is a high probability that a 3rd grade treasure will appear in the light ball, and if the quality is good, there is a small probability that a 4th grade treasure will appear. I can only enrich the variety of goods in a grocery store and earn some spiritual stones. If you want to get the treasure you want, you have to get at least a 4th grade sword grass, or even a 5th grade sword grass. There is still a long way to go in the road of sword grass improvement. Among the many spiritual plants he planted, he had a special feeling for sword grass. The earliest 3rd grade treasure, Zunlei Jian, was obtained from the 2nd grade sword grass. Later, he also obtained many rare sword treasures, such as the Peacock Mingwang sword, the Tongming sword heart, and the 2 5th grade sword tactics he comprehended, etc. Therefore, after he had the method of condensing the seeds of ordinary sword grass and the magical treasure of Yangtze sword sheath, he had the idea of improving high-grade sword grass. At present, he has obtained a lot of 3rd grade thunder sword grass. After cultivating many thunder sword grasses, Xuan came to the several high-grade sword grasses he had planted. Among the 4th grade sword grasses, the remaining 2 are in the mature stage, namely the 4th grade Kinglian sword grass and sword peacock. A green lotus flower grows at the bottom of one of the plants, and its petals are composed of countless slender green sword blades, which rotate slightly and bloom with sharp sword intent. The other plant is like a peacock spreading its feathers, with feathers condensed from sword intent, overlapping and flamboyant, and countless murderous intentions hidden in the beauty. In addition, the 2 5th grade sword grasses have also entered a rapid growth stage due to being planted for many years, but judging from their appearance, it will take quite a long time for them to fully mature. Xuan has already integrated the 5th grade sword tactics he learned from the 2 5th grade sword grasses. With a thought, sword energy full of killing intent whistled out, and the white bone killing sword grass next to it immediately responded. The entire area around the sword grass became a sword intent killing field, which made Xuan, who was staying nearby, unable to help but feel the desire to kill. I'm just a farmer, how can I have such a thought of fighting and killing? It's a sin. Xuan took a deep breath, suppressed the killing impulse in his heart, and came to another spectral shadow sword grass. Compared with the white bone killing sword grass, the spectral shadow sword grass is much more low-key. The shape of the sword grass is almost non-existent. Only with the careful perception of the spiritual consciousness can one detect the numerous transparent sword ki that are everywhere, and separated and combined. He performed the spectral sword art, and the transparent sword ki flowed into the countless sword ki around the sword grass like a stream flowing into the sea, silently merging into the countless sword ki around the sword grass. Chapter 652, The Netherworld True Water Prohibition. It's a pity that there is no longer a treasure land like the sword pond that produces high-level sword grass spirit seeds. Xuan looked at the 2 5th grade sword grasses that were fully nourished, and there was a bit of regret in his tone. The spirit seeds of his 2 5th grade sword grasses were all nurtured by the sword pond of the Heavenly Sword sect. After coming to the Liang realm, although there were other opportunities to obtain more high-level spirit seeds, it would be more difficult to obtain high-level sword grass spirit seeds again. Jiandan cultivators can travel to various realms in the heavens. When they are stronger and have more light balls, they can try to go to the Xuan sword sect to see old friends and see if they can get 1 or 2 high-level sword grass spirit seeds. After all, he is a disciple of the branched Xianjian sect. With such a close relationship, it shouldn't be difficult to obtain. he thought to himself, and continued to patrol the spiritual field to check the detailed status of many spiritual plants. Next, because the Xiangxing cave increased its patrol efforts, the fat evil cultivator never appeared near the cave again, and Lu Xuan therefore had a long period of peaceful and fulfilling time. While keeping alert, he spent almost all his attention on the many spiritual plants and animals. One day, while watching the fat bad playing with a group of spiritual animals, a gentle female voice came from outside the cave. Dao Lu, are you in the cave? I'm passing by for something, so I came to visit you. Hearing this familiar voice, Lu Xuan's mind flashed to Yulin Sanren, whom he had met in the Blackwater Star Cave. She was also a spiritual plant master. During the conversation, he got some experience in cultivating spiritual plants from her, which left a deep impression on Lu Xuan. It turned out to be Yulin Sanren. I hope you will forgive me for not welcoming you from afar. Lu Xuan quickly stood up and went out to greet her. No problem, I was also passing by this area, and I remembered that Dao Lu was nearby, so I suddenly had the idea to come and visit. Yulin Sanren said softly. Dao, please come this way. Lu Xuan led her into the cave and presented her with the spiritual fruit and tea that he had cultivated and brewed himself. I heard from you that you cultivated several kinds of spiritual fruits that can be used as snacks. I saw them today, and they really tasted wonderful. This spiritual wine is even rarer, and seems to be able to wash away the dirty breath in the body. It is not inferior to some similar treasures. Yulin Sanren tasted the jade washing spirit dew carefully, nodded continuously, and there was appreciation in his eyes. You are too kind. Lu Xuan said modestly. It's just that I stay in the cave with the spiritual plants every day, and I just tinkered with some related things. Lu Dao, don't be modest. This jade washing spirit dew is a rare treasure even in the entire Liang realm. The two chatted for a while, and Yulin Sanren looked around. In the cave, many spiritual plants were hidden in the thick white fog, and could not be seen clearly. Those high-level spiritual plants were Lu Xuan's key treasures, and were protected by many formations and prohibitions. There weren't many cultivators who came to visit on weekdays. Occasionally, someone would come. If people knew that there were so many 5th and 6th grade spiritual plants in the cave, it would definitely bring disaster to oneself. Especially those underworld spiritual plants that need nourishment from flesh, blood, and souls. Once discovered, they would most likely cause some unnecessary trouble. I didn't expect that fellow Daoist Lu planted so many spiritual plants. There should be quite a few 3rd and 4th grade spiritual plants among them. In order to avoid making Lu Xuan unhappy, Yulin Sanren only scanned them slightly with his spiritual sense, so he could only roughly sense the situation of the spiritual plants. Not bad, but there are not many high-level spiritual plants. Lu Xuan said in a low voice. A dozen or so 5th and 6th grade spiritual plants were indeed a little less for him who had a huge demand. That's normal. After all, it hasn't been long since fellow Daoist Lu was promoted to the giant stage. Most of the 5th grade spirit seeds are born from heaven and earth, and are extremely rare. Each one is extremely precious. It has been no less than 20 years since I broke through to the giant stage. So far, I have only cultivated 3 5th grade spirit plants, and the rest are mostly 2nd grade and 3rd grade. Yulin Sanren comforted Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan was silent for a while. If I only had 3 5th grade spirit plants, why would I plant the fields? I might as well practice. By the way, fellow Daoist Lu, are you willing to go into the Thunder Sea with me and a few other fellow Daoists? Seeing that Lu Xuan was silent, Yulin Sanren quickly changed the subject. Oh, I've been to the Thunder Sea many times. I wonder what's important to you? Lu Xuan asked. I want to go to the Thunder Sea to collect and condense some spirit thunders, and also see if I can find 1 or 2 kinds of thunder liquids to practice the exercises and cultivate a thunder spirit plant. Yulin Sanren said simply. Lightning fluid is extremely rare in the Thunder Sea, so we may go relatively deep, and there is a high possibility of encountering high-level thunder beasts. However, the Taoist friends who are going to explore together are all giant in cultivation, and even if they are 6th grade thunder beasts, they are still able to fight, so there is no need to worry about safety issues. Why take the risk to search for lightning fluid? Isn't lightning fluid easy to get in the Thunder Sea? Lu Xuan muttered in his heart. When he entered the Thunder Sea before, the alien Thunder Beast took him to a forbidden area where the magical lightning fluid was born, so he didn't quite understand why Yulin Sanran asked people to go to great lengths to search for lightning fluid. I'm not worried about safety, but I just promoted to giant not long ago, and the spiritual power in my body has not yet been completely stabilized. Before, my mind was focused on cultivating spiritual plants, and I didn't have any high-level magic tools, nor did I master any powerful spells. If I go together, I will definitely hold back the Taoist friends, so I can only say sorry. Lu Xuan politely refused. That's a pity. If fellow Daoist Lu goes with us, we will be even stronger. Yulin Sanran did not force Lu Xuan, and said with some regret. What Lu Xuan said might be true, but he was a giant and cultivator after all, and even if he had just been promoted, he was still a good fighting force. She sat in Lu Xuan's cave for about an hour, and the two exchanged some experiences in cultivating spiritual plants. After sensing that a companion had arrived nearby, she said goodbye to Lu Xuan and left. Lu Xuan watched her go away, and his spiritual consciousness swept around the cave, opened 2 5-grade formations, and returned to the spiritual field. He came to the netherworld area, where many evil spiritual plants were planted. As soon as he entered, a strong yin energy rushed to his face, mixed with the wailing of resentful souls and the sound of gnawing on bones, like a place of purgatory on earth. Lu Xuan had long been accustomed to such scenes, and calmly examined the status of each evil spiritual plant. The Yaoquan flower is fully mature. He noticed that the transparent progress bar below the Yaoquan flower was fully filled, and he was overjoyed. In the resentful spirit mud, the dark and quiet Yaoquan flower stood alone. A thin black river went up from the root stem, and small tributaries continued to spread to all the branches and leaves. The pure and rich dark yin qi flowed slowly like spring water. If you listen carefully, you can faintly hear the sinister whimpering sound. Lu Xuan carefully pulled it out of the resentful spirit mud, and focused his mind on it. Yaoquan flower, a 5th grade spiritual plant, is nourished and cultivated by the yin attributed spiritual soil and spiritual spring. The mature flower contains a trace of the power of the netherworld, which can be used to assist in the practice of corresponding skills and magical powers, or to refine some special high-level elixirs. Detailed information about Yaoquan flower appeared in his mind. He temporarily put away this dark and strange flower, and his attention was completely attracted by a white light ball on the spiritual soil. I wonder what kind of light ball reward it can produce from a 5th grade evil spiritual plant. Lu Xuan was looking forward to it, and reached out to touch the surface of the light ball gently. The ball of light turned into countless tiny light spots, which instantly condensed into a phantom of a book, and sank into Lu Xuan's body at an extremely fast speed. The moment the phantom disappeared, a thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 5th grade nether spring flower, and obtain the 6th grade skill netherworld true water forbidden method. Right square bracket. Chapter 653, Ghostly Picture. The thought disappeared, and a dark book appeared in Lu Xuan's hand. The book was like a stream of water. It felt strangely soft when held in the hand. It was dark. When looking at the cover, there was an illusion that the soul was being sucked in. Lu Xuan calmed his mind, and focused on the dark book in his hand. Suddenly, detailed information about it appeared in his mind. The netherworld true water forbidden method is a 6th grade skill. It is the fundamental practice method of the ancient evil sect netherworld sect. When practiced to a deep level, the netherworld true water can be used. The true water has the effect of dissolving all things, and can dissolve souls, bodies, and even magic tools. The 6th grade skill is at the same level as the blood nerve, but I can try to practice it. Lu Xuan was happy and thought secretly. The blood nerve is too domineering and conspicuous. It is easy to attract attention after practicing it. The netherworld true water forbidden method can be seen from its effect. It is a top grade skill for destroying corpses and erasing traces. It is suitable for assassinations, underhanded tricks, etc., which is just right for Lu Xuan of this quality. He opened the book, and scanned it slightly. A dark river that stretched for thousands of miles appeared in his sea of consciousness, winding and changing in a myriad of ways. Fortunately, the effect of the piece of pure glass tea I took before is still a little bit. Otherwise, with my qualifications, reading this 6th grade technique is like browsing a heavenly book. Lu Xuan sighed in his heart. There are still 2 pieces of pure glass tea leaves left. For Lu Xuan, who has a low level of comprehension, this 5th grade spiritual medicine is very effective. He plans to see if he can find a way to get more spiritual seeds or spiritual plant seedlings. In addition, the light ball reward also made him very satisfied. The 6th grade King Sui is a top grade spiritual object that helps to promote the formation of Dan. In addition, there is also the 6th grade technique Xuanshan King Wei Myofa, which will be obtained from it in the next part. After harvesting the 5th grade Yaoquan flower, Lu Xuan paid attention to the other evil spiritual plants in the underworld area. The evil spirit of the evil Yuan fruit, nourished by the evil spirit of the bronze halberd that was exchanged from Mu Deo Ren before, has entered a rapid growth period. The evil spirit is permeated around the grey-white plant, isolating other spiritual plants from outside. The transparent progress bar below the Yanku wood was about to be filled. Since it was not extremely urgent, Lu Xuan saved some of the soul-gathering grass beads, intending to use them at a critical moment in the future. He took out the soul-slaying bell from his storage bag and controlled a large number of pure yin souls to fly out to feed the Yanku wood. A little further ahead, Lu Xuan heard a sharp whistle. Following the sound, he saw that the Shamu tree demon, which had grown to a certain size, was fighting fiercely with the demon ghost vine. The old woman on the trunk of the Shamu tree demon had a hideous face, and the black trunks were like spears, stabbing at the demon ghost vine violently. This 5th grade spiritual plant has amazing combat power, but the demon ghost vine should not be underestimated. The 2 are of the same grade, but the demon ghost vine is beyond the scope of spiritual plants, with a faster speed, a wider range, and a stronger ferocity. The years of growth are far more than those of the Shamu tree demon, so the result is obvious. The evil tree demon was tightly entangled by grey and white vines, with only the blurred facial features exposed. Against the backdrop of the tentacle-like vines around it, it looked even more helpless and furious. The main vine of the demon ghost vine was raised high and swayed slightly from side to side, as if expressing its inner disdain for the evil tree demon. You are still a little naive. If we were not in the same cave, I would have eaten people like you hundreds of times. After conveying this thought to the evil tree demon, the demon ghost vine retracted its tentacle-like vines and quickly crawled towards the direction of the fairy peach like a long snake. This demon ghost vine knows how to enjoy itself. It came here to abuse the little spirit plant, warm up, and then went to the fairy peach to enter the world of lust. What kind of fairy life is it? Lu Xuan shook his head, checked the evil tree demon, and after seeing that there was no abnormality left, he comforted it with a few words and walked towards the other evil spirit plants. The mother plant of the holy infant fruit was very dedicated. Under Lu Xuan's urging, it gave birth to 2 more holy infant fruit spiritual seeds. You give birth to more children, and I will plant more trees and make more contributions to the spiritual field. I will meet your requirements later. Lu Xuan painted a big pie for the mother plant, so that it willingly gave birth to a few more spiritual seeds for him. Although the spiritual seeds produced are limited, if the subjective initiative is strong, the output can still be slightly increased. There are not many fresh internal organs of cultivators and monsters. I have to find a chance to get some. In front of the 5 internal organs treasure plant, he took out a fresh internal organ from the gluttonous insect capsule, processed it a little, and placed it in a specific position to sacrifice to this strange spiritual plant. In the area of the netherworld spiritual field, only 2 6th grade spiritual plants are still a long way from maturity. After absorbing several 4th grade monster skeletons, the skeleton demon temple has built it to lay a skeleton base. The bones of different sizes and thicknesses are entangled in various ways to form an extremely strange and coordinated skeleton base. There is a kind of abrupt yet harmonious beauty. Lu Xuan left a comment and came to the 6th grade ghost-eating evil vine spiritual plant. He deliberately took out a few powerful ghosts from the 4th grade soul guiding lamp and placed them around the ghost-eating evil vine. Sensing the appearance of a strong ghost, the ghost-eating evil vine immediately reacted, and its branches shot out like sharp arrows, wrapped around the evil ghosts, and devoured them greedily. After cultivating all the evil spiritual plants in the underworld area, Xuan returned to the cave. Since there were only a few foundation building pills and dust cleansing pills left in his hands, the output of light balls was not enough to support the needs of the grocery store, so Xuan spent some time on refining pills. His level of refining foundation building pills has reached the level of great success, and the 4th grade dust cleansing pill is also close to the level of small success. The success rate of pills is far higher than that of some alchemy masters, which can be regarded as a major means of making money at present. Although you can get a lot of spirit stones with just a little effort, light balls are still more cost effective. Xuan sighed secretly. Time passed, and within a month, after the Xuan flower, the Yinku wood, also of the 5th grade, fully matured in the netherworld spiritual field. Xuan stood in front of a pale spiritual plant surrounded by ghosts and full of expectation, and carefully picked it out. His mind was focused on it. Yinku wood, a 5th grade spiritual plant, feeds on resentful souls. During its growth, it is attacked by the yin wind, which will affect the physique of the cultivator in the long run. The mature Yinku wood is an excellent material for refining special instruments such as the 10,000 souls banner, and can also be used to refine the 5th grade soul pill. The number of high-level spiritual plant light balls harvested recently is not small. Xuan looked at the slightly flickering white light ball, sighed, and reached out to gently touch the surface of the light ball. The light ball shattered silently like a flower in the mirror and a moon in the water, turning into sparkling light spots. The light spots reunited and turned into a virtual image of a blueprint, which instantly poured into Xuan's body at lightning speed. Then, a thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 5th grade Yinku wood, and obtain the 6th grade treasure ghostly sorrow map. Right square bracket. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 654, A Little Treasure Shocks. The thought disappeared, and an ancient painting appeared in front of Xuan. The picture was grayish white, with faint mottled lines, and it was unknown how many years it had gone through. On the ancient painting, there was a female ghost wearing white clothes and covering her face with black hair. The lines on the female ghost's body fluctuated, and it seemed that there was a strong resentment that was about to burst out of the painting. Although the female ghost's face could not be seen clearly, he could sense the extreme sadness from her. Even if he looked away, the figure of the female ghost appeared in his mind, and he couldn't help but feel pity in his heart. Xuan discarded the thoughts in his mind, and his mind was focused on the ancient painting. In an instant, he learned the detailed information about the ancient painting. Ghost sorrow, strange picture, a 6th grade treasure. An evil cultivator collected the sorrow and resentment of hundreds or thousands of female cultivators, and drew this strange painting. There is a mourning ghost in the painting, which can control cultivators below the Jindan realm. When possessing a Jindan real person, there is a certain probability that it will affect their mind and actions. Within a certain range, the mourning ghost can selectively reduce the cultivator's fighting spirit. This is a really weird 6th grade treasure. This is the first time I have seen this type. Xuan's heart was filled with joy, and then a strange expression appeared on his face. However, looking at its information description, it is a control type treasure. A cultivator below the Jindan stage can forcibly control it. Even if a Jindan cultivator loses control, it can greatly affect his fighting spirit. When fighting with others, if the timing is right, it may be of great use. Xuan sighed in his heart and put away this ancient painting full of sadness. It's time to go to the Halao Chamber of Commerce to complete some guest duties. He estimated the time and planned to go out to the Zigzing Tower. In addition to dealing with some matters related to spiritual plants, he also needs to replenish a large number of spiritual plants and spiritual beasts, and the resources needed for alchemy. After all, the treasures opened by the light balls in the spiritual field are of high rank and limited in quantity. The resources consumed by alchemy and farming still need to be replenished from the outside world. Xuan asked the grass puppet to guard the spiritual field well, opened the 2 5th grade formations, and flew out of the thundercloud vortex. The 5th floor of the Halao Chamber of Commerce. Lu Xuan put the identified spiritual plants aside, stretched his back, and walked out of the house. Senior Lu, have you finished identifying the spiritual plants? Taoist Mu looked at the spiritual plants that Lu Xuan had divided into 2 parts and asked. Yes, I have identified about 60% of them. I have no clue about the rest. I still have to let the other spiritual plant masters of the Chamber of Commerce take a look. Lu Xuan replied casually. In order to avoid being too much limelight, he deliberately restrained himself when identifying them. He did not point out the detailed information of each spiritual plant. Some of them were vague, saying only the species, origin, and use. Some of them even pretended not to know. After all, these spiritual plants came from foreign lands and were not produced in this world. It was already quite rare to be able to recognize 1 or 2. If all of them were recognized, it would be a bit shocking. Senior Lu has surpassed the other spiritual plant masters by far. These spiritual plants are rare, and they have been selected through many rounds before arriving in this branch building. Senior can still identify so many of them. I admire you deeply. As expected, Taoist Mu hurriedly praised Lu Xuan's spiritual plant attainments. Lu Xuan smiled, walked to the door, and asked Taoist Mu, by the way, is Taoist Wen in the building? I want to ask her something. She should be there. I'll go and call Taoist Wen over. The tall old man bowed his head and said. Soon, the charming female cultivator surnamed Wen came in, and walked to Lu Xuan and bowed respectfully. Senior Lu, what can I do for you? Taoist Wen, I want to inquire about a 5th grade spiritual plant from the Chamber of Commerce. If there are spiritual seeds or seedlings, I'm willing to buy it at a high price. Lu Xuan said in a deep voice. What kind of spiritual plant is it? The spiritual plant is called pure glazed tea, and it is of the 5th grade. It is relatively rare among the same grade. I wonder if there is such a spiritual plant in the Chamber of Commerce? Pure glazed tea leaves can greatly improve his comprehension within a certain period of time. It is extremely important to him. In addition, a tea tree can produce several light balls. He has a strong desire to plant spiritual tea again. Pure glazed tea should be available. I have some impression of it. However, there is no stock in this branch of Zixing Tower. I have to ask the headquarters or other branches in Zhangzhou. I will inform you as soon as I have the news. As a guest of the Chamber of Commerce, you have the right of first choice. You will get a discount when you buy it, and you don't need to pay a high price. The female cultivator surnamed Wen said gently. Then I'll trouble you, fellow Daoist Wen. Lu Xuan nodded gently. Senior Lu, please forgive me for being so presumptuous. I wonder if the newly opened grocery store in Zixing Tower is your property? The female cultivator surnamed Wen hesitated and asked. Yes, I opened the grocery store because I was bored. Lu Xuan said casually. He did not deliberately hide his identity and entered the grocery store from time to time. Therefore, it was not surprising that the Chamber of Commerce branch building found out. No wonder there are several popular treasures and some rare spiritual plants in it. The female cultivator showed a look of realization. Due to the attraction of treasures such as foundation building pills, dust cleansing pills, and sword talismans, a grocery store has become famous in the star picking building recently. There are even many foundation building cultivators who line up to buy those rare treasures at the right time. Senior, are you willing to sell those treasures in the Chamber of Commerce? The price will definitely satisfy you, and it can also save you the trouble of renting the store, maintenance, and other aspects. The female cultivator suggested that merchants pursue profits. After seeing that a grocery store earns spiritual stones at such a terrifying speed, the Chamber of Commerce also had some ideas. Forget it. The treasures inside were taken out by me, my clansmen, and some friends of the same path. There are many things involved. If we put them in the Chamber of Commerce, it will be even more difficult to explain. Lu Xuan said casually. It all depends on what you think. The female cultivator did not force Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan himself was a giant and cultivator and a guest of the Chamber of Commerce. He was valued by the treasure building, which was a high-level magic weapon. The Chamber of Commerce was just trying to ask. If they could get it, it would be the best. If they couldn't get it, they would not do anything excessive. Moreover, a small shop, with an area less than 1/10 of the Chamber of Commerce's branch building, only had several 3rd and 4th grade special treasures to attract many cultivators, but it was almost the limit to be able to do so, and it was impossible to threaten the status of the Chamber of Commerce. Unless the shop can take out a large number of 3rd and 4th grade treasures with a wide variety of varieties, as well as enough 5th and 6th grade treasures, it can really enter the sight of the Chamber of Commerce. The female cultivator sighed in her heart. Xuan left the Chamber of Commerce branch building and went to a grocery store. It has been several years since I entered the giant stage. With the new light ball reward, my strength has been further improved. I can also sell some 5th grade treasures appropriately. I opened so many before, and many of them have not been used. It would be a pity to keep them all the time. I might as well exchange them for some spirit stones. It's time to shock the customers of the grocery store with some small treasures. Xuan thought to himself. Chapter 655, Looting. He currently has more than 10 kinds of 5th grade treasures, some of which are in use, and some of which are rarely used. Among them, the Peacock Ming Wang Sword, King Ying Yue, Void Nightmare Eye, Tang Ming Sword Heart, Yun Shenti, Teoti Insect Bag, Mirage Orb, etc. are relatively frequently used, while Tai Thunder Talisman, Kunterling Puppet, Multi-Armed Corpse Slave, etc. Although there is no opportunity to use it, if he has to fight against monks and monsters, it can all help him. Soul Taking Blood Palm, 7 chapters of Medicine Master, and Yan Nerve are all exercises. If they are placed in a grocery store it would be a bit uneconomical to sell. Xuan thought about it, and decided to temporarily sell a 5th grade treasure, the 9-headed dragon picture. The 9-headed dragon picture comes from the Dragon Skeleton Grasslight group, which contains the essence of a strange beast, the 9-headed dragon, which can be released to fight the enemy. He currently has many kinds of treasures that are better than this treasure, and it would be a waste to keep it. He simply advertises for the grocery store to let more monks in the star-reaching town know about this small shop with a boutique line. In the grocery store. Senior Lu, is this a 5th grade treasure, right? Are you sure you want to sell it, Senior? When Kyan asked Xuan in disbelief. A 5th grade treasure is no different from a peerless treasure to him who has not yet been promoted to Foundation establishment. Unexpectedly, Xuan was willing to sell it. That's right, you just need to be responsible for selling it. Xuan said lightly. Senior, don't worry, I will definitely sell it at a price that satisfies you. Wen Kyan quickly promised. Although he didn't understand the reason why Xuan sold the 5th grade treasure as an agent of a grocery store, as long as Xuan made a request, he would try his best to satisfy it and would not question the decision of the superior. However, the idea of following Xuan became stronger in his heart. Although his background sounds quite impressive, in reality it is nothing in the Halao Chamber of Commerce. The Wen family was only one of several major forces in the Chamber of Commerce. There were many monks in the family, and he was not directly connected. His talent was average. He spent a lot of money to enter the branch of the star-reaching building, and his promotion channels were limited. When he came to Xuan's grocery store, the amount of spiritual stones he could earn per month increased by more than half. Xuan would also reward him with some good treasures from time to time, so he had the idea to keep working hard in the grocery store. This idea became even stronger after seeing Xuan selling 5th grade treasures. Being able to sell a 5th grade treasure naturally means that Xuan still has many more in his hands. Following Xuan will have a much better future than in the family. The next morning, he got up early and opened the shop door. Fellow Daoist Wen opened the store so early. Fellow Daoist Wen, what kind of sword talismans will be sold in your store these days? Can you tell me about it? Fellow Daoist Wen, do you have any cleansing pills? I've urged you. How long have you been here? Hurry up and stock up. As soon as the door opened, many monks rushed in, including many foundation building monks. Although there is a grocery store that is not large in scale and sells a limited variety of goods, it contains several rare treasures. Generally, you can only see them in those big and powerful shops. The quality is not inferior to that of big stores and the price is better. It's even lower, so there are always monks waiting every day just to grab a favorite treasure as soon as possible. Fellow Taoists, don't be anxious. The treasures for sale this time not only have everything you need, but there will also be new varieties, which are guaranteed to satisfy you. When Xuan said calmly while maintaining order. He has been running a grocery store for so long, and has long been accustomed to the Foundation establishment monks he used to look up, to treat him with kindness and kindness. By the way, I would like to inform all fellow Taoists that a new treasure will be launched in the grocery store in 3 days. Oh, a new treasure? How does it compare with the sword talisman? When everyone heard what he said, they were immediately confused. Little interest. It is naturally much stronger than the sword talisman. I can tell you that the treasure is at the 5th level. When Xuan Feng said calmly, 5th grade treasures? Such a small shop actually has 5th grade treasures for sale? Aren't 5th grade treasures exclusive to those big chambers of commerce and big forces? Most of them only appear in events like auctions. Why are they here too? For sale? Save spirit stones. Hurry up and save spirit stones. Everyone was talking about it. The appearance of foundation building pills, sword talismans, and dust removal pills in the grocery store was surprising. They didn't expect that there would be 5 pills in the realm of pill formation. Treasures for sale. When Xuan looked at everyone with a calm expression, completely forgetting that he had just lost his composure when he learned about it. There is only one 5th grade treasure. It is still the old rule. The monks who have sufficient financial resources and are at the front will draw lots to determine the purchase qualifications. The higher the rank, the greater the chance of getting it. He briefly introduced the purchase rules, and everyone nodded in unison. Many monks who have completed the foundation establishment even give up buying sword talismans and leave directly to prepare as many spiritual stones as possible. Based on their cultivation level, it is difficult to come into contact with 5th grade treasures on weekdays. Now that such an opportunity arises, they naturally have to find ways to seize it. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. When Xuan opened the door and looked at the long queue outside the store and couldn't help but take a breath. So many monks. This aura is unfathomable. Could it be Master Jiden? This thought flashed through his mind, and he was extremely excited. Master Jiden, in his eyes, was a being that he could only look up to. He never thought that one day come and buy something from him. He suppressed the excitement in his heart and screened 20 monks who were qualified to buy into the store, including the 3 alchemy masters. Seniors, this is the 5th grade treasure that a grocery store has decided to sell. The treasure is called the 9-headed dragon picture. The essence of a 9-headed dragon is sealed inside, which can be released to fight the enemy. He pointed to the middle of the store counter. An ancient picture said. The ancient pictures are mottled, with mountains and rivers inside. There is a huge dragon with 9 heads hidden in it. The dragon's figure is lifelike and vivid on the paper. If you look closely, it seems to be swimming slowly in the ancient pictures. After inputting a trace of spiritual power, the passionate dragon roar sounded, and the 9-headed dragon's shadow became solid, as if it could fly out from it at any time. This junior's cultivation is limited. Even if he exerts his spiritual power, he can only move this 5th grade treasure to this point. However, I believe that the seniors can use this to confirm the authenticity of the treasure. That's right. It is indeed one piece. A 5th grade treasure. The quality is quite good. Master Yao Jiden said slowly, and the monks in the shop looked at the 9-headed dragon picture with increasing enthusiasm. The treasure is priced at 40,000 low-grade spiritual stones. There is no counter-offering. If the senior who has the first right to purchase does not have enough spiritual stones, it will automatically be passed on to the next senior. This is the star-reaching building. The shopkeepers behind the grocery store. Seniors, should I also understand, and I hope there won't be any unpleasantness. When Xuan said with a solemn expression, it was quite difficult for him to maintain his superficial composure with so many core formation monks. Chapter 656 New Ideas for Purchasing Treasures. Due to the drawing of lots, the core formation foundation building monks were treated equally, and their cultivation level did not determine the ownership of the 9-headed dragon diagram. In the end, the first purchase qualification was obtained by a monk who had perfected the foundation establishment. The moment he heard the news, the monk was overjoyed. Under the focus of everyone's eyes, he immediately took out 400 middle grade spiritual stones from his storage bag. Fellow Taoist literary, these are 400 middle grade spiritual stones. Please take a look at them. Seeing that the monk who completed the foundation establishment successfully purchased the 9-headed dragon map treasure, clearly audible sighs were heard in the crowd. When Xuan confirmed that the number of spiritual stones was correct, immediately unlocked the ban on the counter and handed the 9-headed dragon picture to the foundation establishment perfection monk. The monk calmed down his inner excitement and came to one of the middle-aged monks who formed a pill. Senior, I have lived up to my trust. I was lucky enough to be the first to buy this treasure. I bought this 9-headed dragon treasure for you, senior. Well done. The middle-aged monk who formed the pill showed admiration. Fellow Daoist Jiang, what is going on? In the room, the other monks looked confused, and another Master Jidan, who had some friendship with the middle-aged Jidan, asked aloud. It's nothing. I was just afraid that the possibility of buying the 9-headed dragon picture was too low, so I entrusted a few foundation building friends to come over as early as possible to queue up to qualify for the lottery. Unexpectedly, this method really worked. The 9-headed dragon picture, this little friend got it. The middle-aged monk laughed, and it was obvious that he was in a very happy mood. Old man, how shameless. Such a thought came to everyone's mind, and the other two Master Jidan even cursed directly. He actually directly lined up people to qualify for the lottery. This kind of behavior is too cheating. Everyone understood that the perfect foundation establishment cultivator directly handed the 9-headed dragon picture to the middle-aged Jidan. After all, a foundation establishment cultivator holding a 5th grade treasure would definitely attract a lot of covetousness. This would also dissuade many others. His unfavorable thoughts. Fellow Daoist Wen, is this considered cheating? Master Jidan asked directly. It complies with the rules and is not considered cheating. When Xuan pondered for a moment and said slowly, the drawing and selling of the treasures were all in accordance with the procedures. As for what the monks did with the treasures after they were sold, that had nothing to do with him. Everyone had no choice but to leave in anger, and many monks were thoughtful. The move of the middle-aged and Jidan opened up new ideas for them. If there are still 5th grade treasures for sale in the grocery store in the future, they can follow suit and hire some qualified foundation building monks to come and line up. Friend Wendao, will your store still sell 5th grade treasures? A monk asked directly. The other monks staying inside and outside the store looked at Xuan expectantly. There should be some, but 5th grade treasures are quite rare, and I can't guarantee it. If there are treasures for sale, I will notify you in advance, so that all seniors can be prepared. Wen said without being humble or overbearing. Okay. Fellow Daoist Wen, this is my communication talisman. If there is a 5th grade treasure, please inform me as soon as possible. A gentle-tempered female alchemy cultivator left a white jade talisman to Wen. Dry. The other two dingy Daoists and some foundation building monks saw this and also left behind communication talismans. When Xuan looked at the pile of communication talismans in his hands and felt a sense of unreality in his heart. Master Jidan, did you leave me your contact information? It took him a while to accept this reality. When sending the monks out, his steps were light and heavy, as if he was stepping on clouds. After the customers in the store were almost gone, Xuan entered the store and nodded to Xuan. Well done. The main thing is that the treasures brought out by seniors are popular. Xuan patted them without leaving any trace. If the time is right later, I will take out 1 or 2 more 5th grade treasures. Xuan has the idea of turning a general store into a boutique store. The treasures found in the light group are of relatively low grade and useful. The less widely available ones will be sold in grocery stores to steadily earn spiritual stones. Senior, these are the spiritual stones earned today, totaling more than 300,000 low grade spiritual stones. When respectfully presented more than 3,000 medium grade spiritual stones. The appeal of the 9-headed dragon picture is so great that, even if the monks who enter the store do not buy the 9-headed dragon picture, they will notice other rare treasures in the store. If they are interested, they can buy 1 or 2 of them, which will bring a lot of money to the store at once. Business. This is the importance of diversion. Xuan sighed with emotion. When he arrived at the branch of the Halao Chamber of Commerce, Master Wen sent him a message half a day ago, saying that a pure glazed tea spirit seed had been transferred from the headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce. Friend Wen. In an elegant room on the 4th floor of the building, Lu Xuan looked at the still charming female cultivator named Wen with a smile. Senior Lu. Fortunately, he lived up to his mission. He learned from the headquarters that there was a pure glazed tea spirit seed, so he applied for it to be transported. The senior management of the headquarters learned that Senior needed it and immediately sent someone to use the teleportation array to deliver it. Female surnamed Wen Xiu said softly. She brought a jade plate that exuded a faint cold air to Lu Xuan. In the middle of the jade plate, there is a tea seed as thick as a little finger. The tea seed is light blue in color, with a clear light lingering on the surface. You can feel a fresh and natural breath from a distance. It is indeed the pure glazed tea spirit plant. Lu Xuan nodded. When he first got the pure glazed tea spirit plant from Xianjian sect master King Su, the tea tree was a small seedling. However, after cultivating the tea tree for many years, he naturally planted it immediately it's identified. Thank you for your hard work, fellow Daoist cultivator. I wonder how much the spiritual seeds cost? He asked the female cultivator. Although he was a guest of the Chamber of Commerce, he still had to go through the required procedures. Senior has a distinguished status in the Chamber of Commerce and will receive certain discounts when purchasing treasures. This 5th grade pure glazed tea spirit seed can be taken away with 18,000 lower grade spiritual stones. No problem, friend Taoist Wen. Please take a look. Lu Xuan happily took out 180 middle grade spiritual stones and handed them to the female cultivator. The price of normal 5th grade spiritual species is usually no less than 20,000 spiritual stones. Rare species like pure glazed tea are only worth more. Before he became a guest minister, the 4th grade spiritual species he bought in the sub-building required 5 to 6,000 lower grade spiritual stones. Being able to buy them at such a price, he was naturally satisfied. This is the benefit of having a big force behind you. He looked at the tea seeds floating in his hand and sighed. When he was still in the Xianjian sect, by virtue of his status as a disciple of the Xianjian sect, he obtained a large number of spiritual seeds from the Synod Hall, the Sword Hall, and the true disciples of the sect, Master Jeden, thereby harvesting a large number of light groups, developing countless treasures, and cultivating it is a rocket-like improvement in strength. Now, after coming to the Liang realm and becoming a guest of the Heilao Chamber of Commerce, which is far stronger than the Xianjian sect, it is easier and more convenient to obtain high-level spiritual seeds. You must know that King Jing glazed tea is a 5th grade spiritual plant, and there is no corresponding method of condensing the seeds. It is extremely difficult to obtain the spiritual seeds. But now, he only needs to say a word, and the Chamber of Commerce will send the spiritual seeds to him. My decision to become a guest of the Chamber of Commerce is so right. Coming to the Chamber of Commerce is like going home. His sense of belonging to the Chamber of Commerce suddenly increased. Chapter 657. Good Destiny. Amidst the subtle lightning, a gray-white pupil quietly emerged from a space crack, and its eyes indifferently swept the area below before disappearing. A figure jumped out from the rock. Now we have to be careful when we return to the cave. If we don't get rid of that fat monk, it will be hard to relieve the hatred in our hearts. Lu Xuan stretched out his hand and wiped his face, restoring his original appearance. After returning to the Thunder Mars cave from the Star-Picking Tower, he changed his appearance dozens of miles away from the cave to avoid being followed by the evil cultivator, and used the Earth Escape technique to sneak into the rock and soil. Then he used the Void Nightmare Eyes to observe the surroundings and returned to the cave. After finding nothing abnormal, he circled the cave and found that the 2 major formations were normal, so he felt relieved to enter. When he came to the spiritual field, he took out the tea seed surrounded by clear light, chose a place with the purest spiritual energy, and planted it in the spiritual soil. The pure glazed tea has extremely high requirements for the growth environment. If it is planted near the spiritual field area in the underworld, it will not be conducive to growth, so it must be treated with caution. After planting the pure glazed tea spirit seed, Lu Xuan then inspected the spiritual field to check the detailed status of each spiritual plant. Back in the yard, the fat bird flapped its pale green fat wings and came to Lu Xuan like lightning. Come on, I brought you some delicious food this time. The grocery store made a lot of money every day, so Lu Xuan was naturally not stingy. He specially bought some spiritual fruits that were not planted in the cave from the Zigzing Tower, as well as some monster meat that was popular with spiritual beasts, so that the fat bird and other spiritual beasts could eat their fill. After returning to the cave, he immediately resumed his simple and fulfilling farming life, cultivating diligently, waiting for maturity, and then opening a light group blind box. On this day, when he was performing the spirit rain technique on many spiritual plants, suddenly, his expression changed, and he spread his palms. In the crack of the palm, in a small grey-white pupil, several figures quickly passed by and attacked the direction of the cave. Lu Xuan's sharp eyes discovered that among them was the figure of Yulin Sanren. He frowned, and then felt relieved. Although the 4 giant and true immortals in his sight were coming with great force, it was obvious that their auras were not very stable. 2 of them were seriously injured. It was unknown what they encountered in the Sea of Thunder, so they are here to seek shelter, not to attack my cave. Lu Xuan speculated secretly and decided to activate the 2 major formations first, and then see the true intentions of Yulin Sanren and several giant and cultivators. Soon, a slightly hurried female voice came from outside the cave. Dao Lu, are you in the cave? I'm Yulin Sanren, and I have brought a few fellow Taoists to seek your help. Lu Xuan's figure flashed and came to the edge of the cave. The moment he saw Yulin Sanren, he pretended to be ignorant. What happened to you fellow Taoists? You are so seriously injured. Among the 4 people, Yulin Sanren was in good condition, but his silver hair was sparse and looked exhausted. Of the remaining 3, 1 was pale and swaying, 1 had a deep wound on his chest that almost cut him in 2, bleeding profusely, and the last one had an arm cut off. Dark purple granulations kept growing at the crack, and they couldn't be removed no matter what. It's a long story. After we entered a secret realm deep in the Sea of Thunder, we unfortunately encountered a 6th grade monster beast. The monster beast possessed a mysterious blood talent. After a few encounters, one of our companions died, and we were also seriously injured. 6th grade monster beast. Lu Xuan looked surprised. Although he had dealt with a 4th grade King Jiao Lacey once in the Sea of Thunder, that was a special case. If he met a 6th grade monster beast face to face, it would most likely be dangerous. Dao Lu, we have suffered heavy losses. Although we have escaped from the Sea of Thunder, it is hard to guarantee that the 6th grade monster will not follow us. Thinking that the protective formation of Daoyao's cave is very strong and the distance is not far, I came to disturb Daoyao Lu. After a short rest, I will immediately say goodbye and leave, so as not to affect your practice. Yulin Sanren said, while Lu Xuan was pondering. Rest in my cave? Lu Xuan was stunned. Dao Lu, are you worried about the 6th grade monster? It is very unlikely that it will follow us. After all, this is already outside the Sea of Thunder. From time to time, there are monks on duty in the Thunder Mars cave. Patrol, no matter how powerful the monster is, it will not be rampant here. It's just that we are in a very bad state at the moment. We need a safe place to adjust, so we came to Dao Lu's cave. Yulin Sanren saw Lu Xuan was hesitating and hurriedly explained. Nothing else, but I'm just an ordinary spiritual plant master. I don't have many magic tools and spells. My strength is low. It is not appropriate to rashly lead several giant and real people into the cave. I hope you can understand. However, I have a lot of friendship with Yulin Sanren. Since you asked, I naturally can't ignore it. How about this? I will lead the 2 Taoist friends into the first protective formation, not through the second formation to enter the core area of the cave, which will provide a relatively safe environment for you Taoist friends, and I can rest assured. How about it? Lu Xuan said slowly. If it was only Yulin Sanren, he would be vigilant, but not to this extent. But these are 4 giant and cultivators who came together, and they came so abruptly. For the sake of caution, he came up with such a win-win plan. Yulin Sanren is also a spiritual plant master. He came here to seek shelter, because he trusts me. If I refuse directly, the little friendship we just got to know will disappear completely, leaving them in the illusion 5-element formation and outside the cloud bamboo arrow formation not only does not let Yulin Sanren down, but also provides them with a place to rest and recuperate. It also makes me feel at ease and I don't have to worry about these giant and people doing harm to me. No problem. Thank you, fellow Daoist Lu. Yulen Sanren and others looked at each other and nodded in agreement. Lu Xuan's worry was understandable. He did not refuse directly, but led them into the 5th grade formation, which was already quite rare. Fellow Daoists, please come in. Lu Xuan controlled the illusion 5-element formation flag. The spiritual power surged at the edge of the formation. A narrow passage appeared, and Yulen Sanren entered it one after another. Here are 2 bottles of elixirs, both of which I made myself. You can take them without worry. 1 bottle of the 3rd grade jade muscle pill has a good healing effect on physical injuries, and the other bottle is the 4th grade dust cleansing pill, which can remove the turbid and polluted aura in the body and greatly weaken the harm of evil spirits. That monster is probably a bit evil, and taking this dust cleansing pill will have the right effect. Lu Xuan's spiritual power held 2 small white jade bottles in front of the acquaintance. He wanted to make good connections with these 4 giant and cultivators, so he took out 2 bottles of precious elixirs without hesitation and gave them to several people. Thank you so much, fellow Daoist Lu. The giant and cultivator, whose arm was broken and dark purple buds were constantly growing, kept expressing his gratitude. Chapter 658 8 Demon Wine. Dao Ayalu is very polite. Not only did he provide us with a safe place, he also gave us rare elixirs like the dust clearing pill. After Lu Xuan disappeared, a giant and cultivator couldn't help but sigh. The 4 of them observed the surroundings and felt much more at ease when they felt the power of the 5th grade formation. They had been running all the way, always worried about the 6th grade monster and the evil cultivator hidden in the Sea of Thunder. Now that they have the protection of the 5th grade formation, they can finally rest well. It's polite, but a little cautious. Another giant and cultivator took a dust clearing pill and felt a wisp of clear air wandering in his body. His body suddenly felt a lot more relaxed. It's right to be cautious. After all, among the few of us, only Dao Yulin and Dao Ayalu have some friendship. It's normal to be worried when you rashly propose to rest in the cave for a while. The giant and cultivator with a deep crack on his chest said in a deep voice. Perhaps it is Dao Ayalu's caution that allows him to break through to the giant and realm as a spiritual plant master. The pale-faced cultivator echoed. It's good to be cautious, but if you keep this mentality, Brother Lu's cultivation will probably end here. On the road of cultivation, the word competition runs through it all. Competing with the sky, competing with the earth, competing with people, competing for the slim hope of breaking through the realm, competing for spiritual land, competing for opportunities and treasures. Especially for casual cultivators like us, we can only make up for the gap with those cultivators with strong family backgrounds by competing for opportunities one after another. Otherwise, we will be left behind on the road of cultivation, and even our corpses will become the ladder for others to climb up. Someone couldn't help but sigh. Then may I ask Brother Yi, what can we win in this trip to the Thunder Sea secret realm? Yulen Sanren chuckled. The cultivator couldn't help but be speechless. This time, I encountered a little accident when exploring the secret realm, but this is also normal. After all, it's not possible to get great opportunities all the way. If you don't fight, where will those opportunities and treasures come from? It's impossible to stay in the cave all the time, and then such a big opportunity treasure will fall, right? He paused and couldn't help but refute. That makes sense. The other 3 nodded when they heard this. When the 4 were resting in the cave, Lu Xuan came to visit from time to time, gave them some spiritual fruits and spiritual tea, and got to know the other 3 giant and cultivators. Soon, after 5 or 6 days, the 4 recovered a lot and said goodbye to Lu Xuan one after another. Dao Ayalu, thank you for taking me in and giving me the elixir. If there is a chance, you are welcome to visit my cave. Dao Ayalu, I heard from Yulen Sanren that you are obsessed with spiritual seeds. If you get any rare spiritual seeds one day, I will give you priority and send it to you for you to see. Dao Ayalu, see you later. Remember to visit King Muxing Cave. Okay. Lu Xuan clasped his fists and smiled and sent the 4 people out of the cave one by one. He watched the figures of the people disappear and then returned to the formation. It's not bad to make a good relationship. After all, who wouldn't want to get to know a kind and friendly spiritual plant master who is good at cultivating spiritual plants and will not affect others' opportunities? Lu Xuan thought with some pride and entered the spiritual field, carefully observing the detailed status of each spiritual plant, trying to satisfy them to the greatest extent possible. He came to a place in the cave where lightning was raging and the ground fire was surging. Above the lightning and fire, the phoenix tree was floating up and down. The charred wood looked ordinary at first glance, but after a closer look, he found the dark golden lines hidden in the wood. The lines continued to spread and finally merged into a pair of phoenix patterns in the center of the charred wood. The phoenix wings on the pattern were covered with dark red flames, and the golden eyes the size of rice grains were lifelike, with the momentum of looking down on everything. Crack. A clear and bright cry sounded from the thunder and fire below, and a pair of phoenix phantoms flew out of the flames, closely attached to each other and danced happily, and then sank into the dark gold pattern in the center of the charred wood, making the pattern more dazzling and agile. It's almost there. The 6th grade phoenix tree is about to mature. Lu Xuan looked at the progress bar below the phoenix tree, which was about to be filled up, and his heart was full of expectations. He got this phoenix tree from the blessed land of the Xianjian sect. He cultivated it for many years and used countless 3rd grade red lotus flames. Now it is finally about to mature. This is the first 6th grade spiritual plant in the cave. I wonder what rewards can be opened in the light ball. He thought secretly. The maturity conditions of the 6th grade spiritual plant are extremely complicated. If the 3rd grade nailing grass bead is used to accelerate the ripening, even if a large number of gems are consumed, the effect is estimated to be extremely limited. Lu Xuan is not in a hurry and patiently waits for the phoenix tree to fully mature. He took out the Yuan True Fire bead, and his spiritual consciousness controlled a tiny wisp of Yuan True Fire, which flew into the charred wood. The phoenix shadows turned into finger-sized, chirping cheerfully, and disappeared into the Yuan True Fire in an instant. Lu Xuan continued to inspect the spiritual field. The heart monkey fruit is ripe, he said happily, looking at the translucent progress bar below the spiritual plant in front of him. On the top of the spiritual plant, there was a golden spiritual fruit. The spiritual fruit was shaped like a monkey, curled up together. When his eyes focused on it, his mind was full of thoughts, chaotic. I don't know how the old ape and the little white ape are doing now. When the Xianjian sect moved to the Dangsa and Sword sect, the old ape was a 5th grade guardian spiritual beast, so he was naturally qualified to go with him. As its descendant, the little white ape was not inferior to the true teachings, so it was probably taken with him. He looked at the spiritual fruit in front of him, and for a moment he was reminded of the beast. He carefully picked the spiritual fruit and focused his mind on it. The monkey heart fruit, a 5th grade spiritual fruit, is a spiritual plant unique to the white jade sky supporting ape clan. The spiritual fruit can be taken directly to cleanse the marrow and meridians, temper the mind and body, and can also be used to refine certain special high-level elixirs and brew the white jade sky supporting ape clan's unique monkey wine. The 5th grade spiritual fruit that improves the physical body. Keep it for now and see if the treasures in the light ball will be related to it. Lu Xuan learned a little about the spiritual fruit and put it into the gluttonous insect bag, and then all his eyes fell on the white light ball that quietly emerged. With anticipation in his heart, he reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball. The light ball shattered silently, and the tiny light spots in the sky were like fireworks exploding, and then condensed together, turning into a monkey phantom, and instantly sank into Lu Xuan's body. A thought emerged in his mind. Harvest a 5th grade monkey heart fruit, and obtain the 5th grade ape demon wine formula. The thought flashed through his mind, and a large amount of information appeared in Lu Xuan's sea of consciousness. Ape demon wine, a unique monkey wine of the white jade sky supporting ape clan, can strengthen the blood and enhance the strength of the body after taking it. Long-term and large-scale consumption can even temporarily stimulate the white jade sky supporting ape dharma, which is like a madman and fearless. After feeding ape-like monsters, it can purify the blood in their bodies, break through their own grades, and help break through realms. Sure enough, the strange monkey wine that the old ape once treasured was opened. No wonder the white jade sky supporting ape can fall into a violent state at any time. It is most likely related to long-term drinking of ape demon wine. Chapter 659 Han King He builds his foundation. From the content recorded in the recipe, 1 heart monkey fruit can brew a lot of 8 demon wine, enough for me to take for a while. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart and decided to study and explore the recipe, and after collecting the other necessary materials, brew the heart monkey fruit into 8 demon wine. He carefully examined each spiritual plant and came to the spiritual field where the 9 Confucian treasure tree was located. After the Confucian cultivator Han Qinghe came to the cave, he isolated the 9 Confucian treasure tree from the other spiritual plants. One to prevent Han Qinghe from discovering the high-level spiritual plants in the cave, and the other to provide him with an independent and good cultivation environment. Fortunately, Han Qinghe has always performed well. Every day, he either stays in the house to practice, or reads poems and articles in front of the 9 Confucian treasure tree and Confucian classics, so that the treasure tree can be fully nourished by the literary spirit. Passing through a thick white fog, Lu Xuan saw the 9 Confucian treasure tree in the middle of the spiritual field. After this period of hard cultivation, the 9 Confucian treasure tree has grown a little bit. Now it is about half a person tall, with luxuriant branches and leaves. The branches are dark black, as if countless black characters stretched to the extreme are entangled together. The leaves are crooked, as if they are nurturing the embryonic form of words. In the sound of reading, the branches and leaves of the 9 Confucian treasure tree swayed slightly, as if they were concentrating on listening. Along with the clear and passionate scriptures, an invisible and colorless literary aura slowly formed around, making the branches and leaves of the 9 Confucian treasure tree more active. When Han Qinghe stopped reciting, Lu Xuan walked out of the white mist. Senior Lu. Han Qinghe found Lu Xuan's figure and hurriedly bowed respectfully. Not bad. Lu Xuan nodded slightly to express his affirmation. Then, he came to the 9 Confucian treasure tree, focused his mind on it, and after sensing that the spiritual plant was growing very well, he put his mind at ease and performed basic spells such as the Spirit Rain spell to cultivate the spiritual plant. During this process, Han Qinghe acted as a tool man, providing enough cultural energy for the 9 Confucian treasure tree. The specific planting still needed Lu Xuan to complete, although it might have a certain impact on the light group rewards later. In order to allow the spiritual plant to mature smoothly, Lu Xuan would not care about these minor details. You have done a good job during this period. I have seen it all. Here is a bottle of 2nd grade soul enriching pill, which can slightly increase the spiritual power in your body. After cultivating the 9 Confucian treasure tree, Lu Xuan came to Han Qinghe, who had been standing respectfully behind him, and handed a small white jade bottle to him. Thank you for the pill. Han Qinghe hurriedly thanked. I see that the aura in your body should be close to the critical point of advancing to the foundation building. Are you ready? I have prepared a lot. I have always kept in mind your previous teachings and constantly adjusted my spiritual power, physical body and spiritual consciousness to make the 3 of them reach a perfect state. That's good. In the next few days, you will focus on impacting the foundation building, and the matter of cultural energy nourishing the treasure tree can be put aside for the time being. Lu Xuan smiled and said gently, don't worry senior. I will not delay the growth of the treasure tree. Just let it go naturally when you advance to the foundation building stage. Han Qinghe was overwhelmed by what he said and immediately expressed his opinion. He had been in the key training stage for many years and was about to break through to the foundation building stage. He was naturally full of expectations, but he also knew the priorities. He knew that everything he had now was for Lu Xuan to nourish the treasure tree, and he was afraid that it would affect the spiritual plant in the slightest. Haha, there is no need to do that. The treasure tree is of a high grade. It will not take a day or 2 to cultivate it to maturity. It will be more conducive to the growth of the spiritual plant after you advance to the foundation building stage. Lu Xuan said casually. He was right. There was naturally a big difference in the effect of nourishing the treasure tree between the foundation building tool person and the key training tool person. The higher the realm, the more spiritual power, and the more time to nourish the treasure tree. Therefore, it is beneficial for Han Qinghe to break through to the foundation building stage. When you decide to break through, you can tell me, and I will protect you. He promised Han Qinghe. Thank you senior. With a plop, Han Qinghe knelt on one knee. Senior, you are so kind and virtuous. I will remember it in my heart. After building my foundation, I will continue to put nourishing the treasure tree first. He was grateful to Xuan. He was born in an ordinary family. With a little talent and years of hard study, he entered the Jiksha Academy in Daksha. However, he accidentally offended the son of a great scholar in the academy and fled to Liang. He wanted to spend his whole life in a muddle. Unexpectedly, Xuan's arrival completely changed his life. He provided himself with a pure and abundant spiritual power practice environment. He didn't have to worry about his enemies coming to his door, nor did he have to risk his life to explore the secret realm for a little practice resource. From time to time, he would be rewarded with some rare treasures, which formed an extremely sharp contrast with his previous practice life. Half a month later, in the stone house with a gathering spirit formation, Han Qinghe sat cross-legged. The spiritual energy in his body was like a dark tide, as if he was constantly accumulating strength for the moment of eruption. Xuan put his hands behind his back and separated a spiritual consciousness, which fell on Han Qinghe. In most cases, it is safe to advance to the foundation building stage, but one has to be prepared for the unexpected. Therefore, when the disciples of the major sects break through, they often have a fixed place and the elders of the sect to protect them. Now that he is guarding Han Qinghe, it can be regarded as an extra guarantee for him. In the stone house, Han Qinghe adjusted his own state to the best, took out a foundation building pill with a calm expression, and swallowed it in one gulp. As soon as a pill entered his stomach, the surging medicinal power rushed out, flowing through his limbs and bones, washing every muscle and bone in the body. After a while, a spiritual energy vortex quietly formed, and a large amount of pure spiritual energy gathered rapidly and merged into the vortex. In a trance, a spiritual consciousness soared into the sky, and a strong spiritual energy fluctuation appeared on Han Qinghe's body. Congratulations to Dao Yao Han for advancing to the foundation building stage. Xuan flashed and came to the front of the young man with a strong bookish aura, smiling and congratulating. It was a fluke. Thanks to the excellent quality foundation building pill you gave me, I was able to succeed at once. Han Qinghe felt the powerful aura in his body and couldn't hide the smile on his face. He expressed his sincere gratitude to Xuan. After absorbing a large number of pill formula experience packages, Xuan's level of refining foundation building pills has reached the master level. The quality of the foundation building pills he produced is naturally much higher than those on the market, which can slightly increase the success rate. This foundation building technique is something I got by accident. The quality is pretty good. I will give it as a gift to fellow Daoist for his promotion to the foundation building stage. I wish fellow Daoist Han a smooth path of cultivation in the future. Xuan took out a jade slip from his storage bag and handed it to Han Qinghe. The great 5-element technique learned in the Xianjian sect is not easy to spread out. The techniques in the light ball are either too high grade or are body refining routes, which are not suitable for Han Qinghe. The jade slip in his hand came from the storage bag of the cultivator he had killed before. Although the spiritual power after cultivation was average, it was moderate and peaceful, with a wide range of applications. It was also very suitable for Han Qinghe, who was a Confucian cultivator. Chapter 660 The monk riding on the back of Thunder Rhinoceros. He wanted to collect a set of Confucian and Taoist exercises suitable for foundation building cultivators, but Confucian cultivation was too rare in Chiangxing Cave, and there was no such exercise in the branch building of the Chamber of Commerce, so he had to give up. If he was satisfied with Han Qinghe's actions in the future, he would help him get a suitable exercise, if he had the chance. After leaving Han Qinghe's house, Xuan went to the spiritual field where thunder-type spiritual plants were planted. He took out a drop of dark green thunder liquid from the gluttonous insect capsule and sprinkled it evenly into the green light covering the unimaginable vine. The spiritual thunder on my body and the dark green thunder liquid are running low. It's time to go to the thunder sea to replenish them. Xuan felt the powerful vitality coming from the seedlings of unimaginable vine and muttered to himself. At present, there are many high-level thunder spirit plants planted in the cave, including the 4th grade thunderstorm lotus, the 5th grade 5 thunder twin flowers, the 6th grade crepe myrtle thunder fruit, and the only 7th grade yummy green thunder vine. With so many thunder spirit plants, the demand for thunder spirit and thunder liquid has reached an extremely terrifying level. If it weren't for the previous guidance of the alien Thunder Beast, he entered the secret place controlled by the Thunder Beast clan and got a large amount of Thunder Spirit and Thunder Liquid. He would probably have to enter the Sea of Thunder every 3 or 5 days to search for Thunder Spirit. I'll visit my little friend the Thunder Beast on the way and find an opportunity to hug the thigh of the 7th grade greenhorn thunder rhinoceros to deepen and consolidate the relationship with it. He thought secretly in his heart, made some preparations, and left the cave. He came to the passage closest to the cave at the edge of the Sea of Thunder and successfully entered the passage with the Thunder Fire Order. Not long after walking in the sky full of thunder, Xuan saw a familiar figure in the distance. The first Thunder Beast I met was squatting on the ground. Compared with the last time I saw it, its belly was a little rounder. The silver-white giant was impressed by Xuan. It recognized Xuan from the thunder light and growled at him with a bit of intimacy in its voice. Xuan took out some spiritual fruits from the storage bag with skillful movements. You are so good. You rely on your strong strength and strong background. You just rely on your begging skills to guard the entrance of the passage. The beast just lies down. The Thunder Beast couldn't wait to swallow the spiritual fruit and leaned its head against Xuan's arm affectionately. In the past, the amount of food fed to it was not much among the monks. Most of them were monster meat. It always felt a little greasy after eating it for a long time. Every time Xuan took out the spiritual fruit, it was very surprised. It even looked forward to Xuan passing through the passage frequently. How does the spiritual fruit taste? Xuan asked with a smile when he saw it like this. Great. Countless times better than others. The fat Thunder Beast growled at him, conveying this thought to him. You are eating and drinking for free here, and it's good enough to have monster meat to eat. You are actually picky? Xuan couldn't help laughing. There are also requirements for begging for food, right? The Thunder Beast raised its head, and the silver-white lightning breath rushed out of its nostrils and rolled its eyes at Xuan. Okay. Xuan took out a small half bottle of ice marrow spirit wine and threw it to the Thunder Beast. The new variety of spirit wine tastes even better than the previous ones. Try it. After the spirit fruit and spirit wine were taken turns, the Thunder Beast's attitude became more enthusiastic, and it lay obediently in front of Xuan, even exposing its silver white belly completely. Why didn't I see the same tribe that accompanied you to beg for food before? Xuan asked it about the news of the alien Thunder Beast. It's just a part-time job, not as professional as me. The Thunder Beast growled. Seeing that Xuan was curious about the whereabouts of his companions, it turned around and roared towards the depths of the Sea of Thunder with all its strength. The sound was like thunder, stirring up waves of thunder. Xuan learned from its thoughts that it had sensed the news to its companions, and the alien Thunder Beast would naturally find Xuan's location. After he stayed with the Thunder Beast for a while, he entered the vast Sea of Thunder. On the way, the Void Nightmare Eye was always floating in the sky, so that Xuan could always observe the surrounding scene. During this period, he encountered several waves of cultivators, including a giant and Zenran who had returned from the Blackwater Star Cave together. However, Xuan did not go up to say hello, but took a detour to avoid him. Although he knew the giant and cultivator, they were just casual friends, and the trust between them was extremely limited. It was okay in normal times, but in a secret place like the Sea of Thunder, this trust was on the verge of breaking at any time. In order to maintain this superficial friendship, it is better not to meet in the Sea of Thunder. A moment later, a silver-white lightning flashed towards him in the grey-white pupils of his palms. A smile appeared on Xuan's face. He did not try to avoid it, but let the alien Thunder Beast in the lightning rush into his arms. I haven't seen you for a while, and you are much stronger. He stood on the ground with his feet motionless and used his hands to offset the huge aftermath of the alien Thunder Beast and said with a smile. At first, he just fed this alien Thunder Beast out of curiosity, but he didn't expect that it would return a gift 100 times and 1,000 times greater. Not only did it bring him to the secret place of the Thunder Beast clan, so that he could get a lot of rare spiritual thunder and thunder liquid, but it also found Xuan when the Thunder Sea rioted and brought him to the territory of the same clan, so that he knew the 7th grade greenhorn thunder rhinoceros. Let me give you a taste of the spiritual wine I have newly developed. It tastes unique and delicious. I guarantee you will like it. He took out a bottle of ice marrow spiritual wine, and the pure white spiritual wine with bursts of cold air entered the mouth of the thunder beast. Under the stimulation of the spirit brew, the alien thunder beast shuddered, and his eyes revealed an endless aftertaste of emotion. Under the attack of the 4th grade ice marrow spirit brew, the alien thunder beast confusedly brought Lu Xuan into the secret place with dark green thunder liquid. Lu Xuan naturally collected a satisfactory amount of dark green spirit thunder and thunder liquid. I haven't seen Senior Lacey for a long time. I have been thinking about it. I want to visit him and help him clean up some newly grown thunder death crystals. Can you take me to your place to sit? He squinted his eyes and asked the alien thunder beast. The alien thunder beast tilted his head, not suspecting anything. Strands of thunder appeared on his silver white fur. The thunder glowed and turned into a white light, wrapped Lu Xuan, and galloped freely in the sea of thunder. After a while, he brought Lu Xuan to the secluded place of the Thunder Beast clan. A large number of thunder beasts were either resting in the thunder clouds or chasing the tadpole-shaped thunder balls in the sky. They all looked over when they sensed the strange aura on Lu Xuan. After seeing Lu Xuan, they all returned to their original state. The cultivator riding on the thunder rhinoceros. Although they had not seen Lu Xuan for a while, they were quite impressed by him. The green-horned thunder rhinoceros had an extremely respected status in the thunder beast tribe. The life and death of all thunder beasts depended on the thunder rhinoceros's finger flick. On weekdays, when seeing the green-horned thunder rhinoceros, they didn't even dare to look up and take a second look. However, this handsome young man could actually climb on the back of the thunder rhinoceros and kept fiddling with its body. This gave the thunder beasts an unusual understanding. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 661, Flying Thunder. Little monk, you're here? When Lu Xuan was observing the situation in the territory of the thunder beast, a sound like muffled thunder rang in his ears. Then, the 7th grade green-horned thunder sea that had entered the period of decline appeared in his eyes. Its body, as big as a hill, seemed a little slow, but each step spanned dozens of feet, and with the sound of wind and thunder, it came to Lu Xuan in an instant. Hello, Senior. Lu Xuan hurriedly bowed and saluted, saying respectfully, I came to the Thunder Sea for something, and happened to meet this friend of the Thunder Beast, so I asked it to bring me in to visit you, Senior, and by the way, see if I can help you clean up the newly grown Thunder Death Crystal. You are thoughtful. The green-horned Thunder Sea swept across Lu Xuan with its lantern-sized pupils and whispered, but because of its talent, every word sounded like thunder. Lu Xuan covered his ears with spiritual power and felt better. It is my duty to help the seniors solve their problems, Lu Xuan said solemnly. Thank you for your hard work, young friend. The green-horned thunder sea slowly lay down and closed his eyes. With the experience from the previous time, Lu Xuan's courage and proficiency have improved a lot. He jumped up and landed on the back of the green-horned thunder sea with a calm expression. A 7th grade demon beast was stepped on by me. An absurd thought flashed through his mind. He collected his mind and carefully explored every corner of the green-horned thunder sea's body. It has been nearly 2 years since the last time he helped it clean up the Thunder Death Crystal. The aging aura on the green-horned thunder sea has intensified again. The speed at which the thunder key in the aging parts of the body form Thunder Death Crystals has also accelerated. Although the amount is much less than last time, there is still a pile of it on the ground. Lu Xuan took the opportunity to put it into the storage bag. Okay, Senior, I have cleared out all the Thunder Death Crystals in your body. Thank you very much. The green-horned thunder sea opened his eyes and whispered. These condensed thunder death crystals remain in the body, which is no different from the rest of the body for it, and does not affect its actions. It is just difficult to distinguish and clean them, so they are allowed to merge with the body. But if they can be cleaned out, it will be more or less relieved. Lu Xuan naturally wanted to stick to this cleaning task. Helping this green-horned thunder sea to clean the thunder death crystals has many benefits for him. First of all, he can take this opportunity to hold the fire this 7th grade monster with the blood of the ancient beast Thunder Sea. You must know that, although the greenhorn thunder sea has entered the last stage of life, it can still burst out the strength of a Yuan cultivator. Lu Xuan can almost be said to be an ant in front of it. Secondly, he could obtain a large amount of thunder death crystals, which were a high level cultivation resource and extremely rare in the cultivation world. They could assist in the cultivation of thunder magic and the refining of magic tools. He had obtained hundreds of kilograms of thunder death crystals twice, which could be considered a large fortune. Finally, he had to admit that he enjoyed helping King Xiao Lacey clean up the thunder death crystals. He felt a strange sense of decompression. By the way, I can give King Xiao Lacey a longevity peach to see if I can extend its lifespan. Lu Xuan suddenly thought that he felt a little embarrassed to get so many thunder death crystals from King Xiao Lacey, so he thought of giving King Xiao Lacey a longevity peach that he had harvested earlier. Senior, I have noticed that your vitality is slowly draining away. I have a 5th grade spiritual fruit in my hand. Taking it can add a little lifespan. I hope it can help you. Lu Xuan said, taking out a pink and white spiritual peach from his storage bag and presenting it to King Xiao Lacey. A spiritual fruit that can add lifespan? I'll be polite then. King Xiao Lacey's voice was like thunder. He opened his mouth and sucked the longevity peach into his stomach. It tastes good. He sighed as he absorbed the vitality in the longevity peach. It does have some effect. It can probably add 2 or 3 years to your lifespan. King Xiao Lacey closed his eyes and felt it, then said to Lu Xuan, only 2 or 3 years. Hearing this, Lu Xuan felt a little disappointed. The longevity increasing effect of this longevity peach was much weaker than he had imagined. But it is understandable. The greenhorn thunder sea is a 7th grade demon beast, and the longevity peach is only a 5th grade spiritual fruit, so the effect will naturally be greatly reduced. However, he had learned from the 7th grade demon beast in front of him that it had lived for tens of thousands of years, and a few years of life was just a blink of an eye for it, and it was gone in a flash. Don't be disappointed, my friend. It's already very good for me to be able to linger for another 2 or 3 years. The greenhorn thunder sea was very clear and open-minded. Seeing Lu Xuan's expression, he comforted him in return. It's enough to be able to help the senior a little bit. However, I'm curious, what conditions need to be met in order to truly change the current situation of the senior? Lu Xuan came back to his senses and asked the greenhorn thunder sea. Of course, it has to be a 7th grade spiritual fruit or an innate spiritual object. The higher the grade, the better. However, those are extremely rare, and even in the entire cultivation world, they only appear occasionally, and you can only encounter them by chance. The greenhorn thunder sea said in a deep voice. Lu Xuan nodded slightly, indicating that he understood. I remember that you seem to be a spiritual plant master. This time you came to help me clean up the thunder death crystals on my body and gave me a rare 5th grade spiritual fruit. I also have a spiritual seed here that I want to give to you. Lightning flashed on the body of the greenhorn thunder sea, and a deep green crack appeared in the middle of its back. There seemed to be another world inside, containing the power of space. Then, a strange shaped spiritual seed floated out from it and flew in front of Lu Xuan. The spiritual seed was silver white, and there was a phantom of Ganoderma lucidum shaped like a little man inside. The phantom was surrounded by lightning, making it look a little blurry. This spiritual seed is called Flying Thunder ZHI. I got it by accident before, and have kept it with me. It is of the 6th grade. It needs to be cultivated with thunder attributed spiritual energy, spiritual soil, or even spiritual objects. After the seedlings grow, they will have a certain mobility. We must pay more attention to them. If we are careless, this flying thunder ZHI may sneak out, and the previous cultivation will be in vain. Lu Xuan was looking at the spiritual seed room, and the voice of the greenhorn thunder sea sounded like a series of muffled thunder. 6th grade spiritual seed. Lu Xuan's heart was filled with strong joy. At present, there are only a few 6th grade spiritual plants in the cave, and 2 of them have not met the cultivation conditions. I didn't expect to get one from the green horn thunder sea by accident. Thank you for giving me such a rare spiritual seed. He didn't pretend to be polite. He suppressed his excitement and carefully took the 6th grade flying thunder ZHI spiritual seed. You are good at sneaking around, right? There is no way you can escape when you get it in my hands, he thought secretly in his heart. Chapter 662. Both parents died, and he was gifted. Okay, I'm going to sleep. Don't disturb me if you have nothing to do. As Lu Xuan's mind was full of thoughts, King Jiao Lacey said in a muffled voice. Then, his figure turned into a thick lightning, and instantly reached the distance. Then, thunders exploded and rushed to Lu Xuan's side, truly interpreting what snoring like thunder means. How can anyone disturb you when you sleep like this? Lu Xuan secretly complained, found a piece of soil with relatively rich spiritual power, and took out the Felici spiritual seed from the storage bag. He couldn't wait to learn the detailed information of this new 6th grade spiritual seed. Performing the earth-inducing technique, he put the spiritual seed into the crack of the soil and focused his mind on it. A thought emerged in his mind. Felici, a 6th grade spiritual plant, needs to be planted in the thunder-attributed spiritual soil and nourished with the spiritual energy containing the breath of thunder spirit. After the spiritual plant takes root and sprouts, it gradually has a certain ability to move, and as it continues to grow, its ability to move increases accordingly. Flying Thunder ZHI prefers thunder-type spiritual energy and spiritual objects, and will be attracted to them involuntarily, trying every means to get close to them. When the spiritual plant matures, it can be used to assist in the practice of thunder escape magic, and it can also have a certain restraining effect on evil spirits. The power of chasing thunder and lightning. Another dishonest spiritual plant. Lu Xuan thought of the 4th grade blood spirit palm ginseng he had cultivated before, and secretly sighed. The difference between the two is that the blood spirit palm ginseng is attracted by blood, while the flying thunder ZHI is attracted by thunder type spiritual energy and spiritual objects. Judging from its description, the action power of the flying thunder ZHI is also much stronger than that of the blood spirit palm ginseng. When the spiritual plant matures, it can be used to assist in the practice of thunder escape magic. The use is single and limited, but the effect will definitely be extremely powerful. The thunder escape magic is many times stronger than the 5-element escape technique he practiced before, and the speed and power are not at the same level. In the eyes of some cultivators, this 6th grade flying thunder mushroom is nothing less than a rare treasure. Lu Xuan thought to himself, digging the flying thunder mushroom spirit seed from the soil and putting it into the gluttonous insect capsule, fearing that the spirit seed's vitality would be damaged. He wandered around the territory of the thunder beast, and when he met the thunder beast, he took out the spirit fruit and spirit juice from his storage bag with a very friendly attitude and gave it to them. He didn't know how many dark green spirit thunders and thunder liquids he had taken from the secret place of the thunder beast, so naturally he had to give them back. Don't be polite, eat more. It's rare to taste spirit fruit and spirit juice in the Sea of Thunder. He used his spiritual power to carry a few spirit fruits and a bottle of spirit juice and sent them to a tall thunder beast. The thunder beast's silver white nose came over and sniffed. After confirming that there was no abnormality, a trace of heat flashed in his eyes, and he swallowed a few spirit fruits in one gulp. Due to the special environment of the Thunder Sea, and the fact that the Thunder Beast clan does not have the ability to cultivate spiritual plants, they can only let the spiritual plants survive on their own, and the spiritual fruits produced are naturally extremely limited. Therefore, even low-level spiritual fruits are much more delicious in their eyes than those of high-level monsters, not to mention the spiritual juice and spiritual brew that cannot be formed naturally. These 3 kinds of spiritual brews have become the monster happy water of the Thunder Beast clan. Lu Xuan's mind can sense the deep satisfaction of the Thunder Beast after taking the 100-fruit spirit juice, jade washing spirit dew and ice marrow spirit brew, and a smile can't help but appear on his face. Where did this little monster come from? It's sneaky. While looking at the thunder beasts around him, Lu Xuan suddenly noticed a silver white baby beast appearing behind him. The baby beast is about 2 feet long, with a lot of light silver white hair sparsely growing on its body, and from time to time, fine lightning flashes emerge from the skin under the hairs. Its body looked extremely thin, with a silver white horn on the tip of its head. It looked at Lu Xuan with curiosity. Come here, little guy, I'll give you something delicious. Lu Xuan turned around and waved at the young beast, signaling it to come over. When the young beast saw Lu Xuan turning around, its body suddenly became like a frightened bird and turned into a silver white. Lightning flashed past Lu Xuan's sight and landed more than 10 feet away. Such an amazing speed shortly after birth. Really talented. Seeing this, Lu Xuan secretly sighed. The body was like a stream of light, not fast or slow, and came not far from the young beast. The young beast hid behind a thunderball, revealing half of its face, and the silver white horn was particularly prominent. Just eat it with confidence, Lu Xuan said gently, controlling a piece of 4th grade monster meat, a fairy peach fruit, and a ball of jade wash spirit dew, and sent them to the young beast. The young beast looked at the 3 spiritual objects in front of it, and a hint of hesitation flashed in its eyes. It picked up the pink and tender fairy peach, and flashed into the dense thunderball. Before Lu Xuan could react, it appeared again quickly, and took away the jade wash spiritual dew. In the end, it did not forget to take away the monster meat. Lu Xuan couldn't help laughing, and no longer focused on the young beast, and continued to feed the other thunder beasts with spiritual fruits and spiritual juice. Unexpectedly, the silver white young beast appeared in front of Lu Xuan intermittently. Fortunately, it was not discovered by Lu Xuan. From time to time, it hid in the dark and stared at Lu Xuan closely. If Lu Xuan saw it, it would disappear immediately and appear not far from Lu Xuan after a while. Seeing this, Lu Xuan let it follow behind him. Does Daoist Lu have any interest in that young beast? In the Thunder Beast territory, in addition to the supreme 7th grade green-horned thunder rhinoceros, there are more than one thunder beast of the 5th grade that has broken through. After refining the transverse bone in the throat, it has the ability to speak human language. The one who asked Lu Xuan was a 5th grade thunder beast of the 5th grade with wings. Lightning appeared on the silver white wings, and it looked extraordinary. In the Li Hao clan, when a young beast is born, due to the trace amount of Li Si blood in its body, a different species of young beast will occasionally appear. This young beast is a different species of Li Hao beast. According to the recommendation of the Li Si ancestor, it may be promoted to the level of a 5th grade demon beast. However, the young beast's life experience is a bit rough. Its father died unexpectedly in a mysterious secret realm in the Thunder Sea before it was born. Its mother nurtured it for many years. After giving birth to it, her origin was injured, and she died a few years later. Because of its special blood, it is very different from most Li Hao beasts. In addition, due to its special experience, it is not very popular in the Li Hao clan. In addition, it has a somewhat eccentric temperament, and likes to be alone. It doesn't come into contact with other Li Hao beasts, so it can be said to be a big outlier among the Li Hao beasts. However, after all, we have the same blood, so we will still guarantee its basic growth needs. If you have enough abilities and can get its approval, you can try to adopt it. When it becomes a complete form, it may be able to be a great helper to you. The tall double-winged thunder beast said slowly. Lu Xuan suddenly became interested. Both parents are dead, he has outstanding talents, and he is not liked by his own people. Isn't this a perfect template for the protagonist? Chapter 663, Kidnapping the Thunder Dragon. It's a pity not to take away a 5th grade alien thunder beast. Lu Xuan sighed in his heart as he looked at the unicorn cub hiding in the dark and observing him. It's not for the purpose of harvesting the light balls, but mainly because I see its pitiful life experience and want to take good care of it. The spirit beasts raised in the cave have not undergone any new changes since entering the Liang realm. Now that he has encountered such an opportunity, Lu Xuan naturally wants to seize it. Although the growth period of spirit beasts of the same grade is much longer than that of spirit plants, according to Lu Xuan's experience, the light ball reward harvested is also slightly higher than that of spirit plants. If a 5th grade alien demon beast is fully grown, the light ball reward it gets should be good. Thinking in his heart, he slowly approached the unicorn beast and focused his mind on it. Detailed information about it immediately appeared in Lu Xuan's mind. Thunder Dragon, a 5th grade alien thunder beast, is a hybrid of a thunder beast and a wind and thunder dragon. During its growth, it will gradually master powerful thunder methods, and its body will be strong and powerful. Because it caused the mother's death in childbirth, and its appearance is quite different from that of ordinary thunder beasts, it is not welcomed in the thunder beast tribe, behaves in a withdrawn manner, and longs for recognition. Why do I look so strange? I just want to play with you guys. A different species of thunder beast that longs for recognition. But it seems that its origins are quite interesting. Perhaps it is also the reason why the mother thunder beast had a difficult birth. Lu Xuan sighed softly in his heart and felt more and more that this young beast was not easy. Both parents died when he was young, and the death of his mother was very related to him. He was not welcomed by his own people, and because of the difference in appearance, it was difficult to integrate into the tribe. It's too pitiful, I must take it back to the cave, to let it feel warmth and love. He slowly came to the side of the unicorn cub. Seeing this, the cub turned into a white light, and instantly flashed more than 10 feet away, and then hid in the dark and secretly observed Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan approached the young beast tirelessly, and the young beast dodged again and again. Finally, after hesitating for a moment, it lay quietly on the ground, looking at Lu Xuan curiously, with a hint of hidden desire in the depths of its eyes. How do those spiritual fruits and spiritual juices taste just now? He asked the young unicorn beast softly. The young unicorn beast nodded its little head gently, and nodded again and again in case Lu Xuan didn't notice. There's still some here, all for you. Lu Xuan looked at the thin young thunder dragon beast, and it was completely impossible to tell that it had a strong physical talent. He took out some spiritual fruits and spiritual wine from the storage bag, and handed it to the young beast. The young beast swallowed hard, but finally couldn't resist the temptation of the spiritual fruits, and swallowed them in one gulp. After being fed again, its attitude obviously changed a lot, and it no longer avoided Lu Xuan's approach. Lu Xuan came to half a meter in front of it with a very sense of boundaries, and asked it gently, would you like to take me to see where you live? The young thunder dragon beast blinked, but finally chose to nod in agreement. The man and the beast walked in the tadpole-shaped thunder ball wandering around, and came to a remote corner of the thunder beast's territory. Lu Xuan followed the young beast, and entered a narrow stone crevice. The nest where the young beast lived was not small, but it looked extremely simple. There was a small mound near the stone wall inside. Lu Xuan's spiritual consciousness scanned it, and found a silver white monster skeleton buried inside. This should be the body of the mother of the thunder dragon beast who died of dystocia, right? Lu Xuan understood in his heart, and with a solemn expression, he bowed in the direction of the mound. The young beast saw his behavior, and his eyes became a little softer. Lu Xuan talked about this and that, asking the young beast some details about life and cultivation. Although this thunder dragon hound was young, it was quite intelligent. It easily understood the meaning of Lu Xuan's words, and passed on its thoughts to Lu Xuan. During the chat, the man and the beast became closer and closer. The thunder dragon hound cub even lay directly beside Lu Xuan's feet, revealing its soft silver belly from time to time. Are you not happy living here? Lu Xuan showed his true intention, and asked the cub directly. The cub shook its head subconsciously and nodded slowly. Do you want to live somewhere else? Lu Xuan activated the mirage pearl in his throat, and there was a faint bewitching power in his words. Come to my cave. There will be no strange eyes looking at you there. There are many interesting spirit beast friends to play with you, and there are endless spirit fruits and spirit wines to enjoy, which are better than what you just tasted. If you miss your mother, you can come back with me often in the future. Hearing Lu Xuan's words, the thunder dragon hound cub stayed in place in a daze, not knowing what he was thinking. Don't worry, I'm trustworthy, otherwise, your greenhorned thunder rhinoceros ancestor wouldn't let me do whatever I want with it. I can do everything I promised, and I'll come to the thunder dragon beast's territory every once in a while to take a look. The thunder dragon beast's small facial features were squeezed together, and it was obvious that it was very entangled in its heart. When you get to our place, you will be my closest partner and a playmate for the spirit beasts in my cave. Lu Xuan said simply, and waited quietly for the thunder dragon beast. After understanding the emotional needs of the thunder dragon beast, he was confident in himself, and had great confidence that he could lure the thunder dragon beast into his cave. Sure enough, after hesitating for a while, the thunder dragon beast nodded in agreement. Ha ha ha, welcome. You will be a member of the cave from now on. Lu Xuan laughed heartily, and couldn't help but touch the small pointed horn on its head. A trace of silver white lightning flew out, and sank directly into Lu Xuan's palm, bringing a slight numbness. Roar, the thunder dragon hound roared, with some concern in his voice. From the thoughts it conveyed, it was known that this lightning was a completely subconscious reaction of the body. Once something unusual approached, it would be triggered and out of its control. It's okay. For Lu Xuan now, this lightning was not much different from scratching an itch. He ignored the lightning that was constantly triggered, pinched the silver white sharp horn, and rubbed it for a long time. After coming out of the Thunder Dragon Hound's nest, Lu Xuan brought the young beast to the double-winged Thunderhound beast. Fellow Daoist, this alien Thunderhound beast has agreed to go out with me. I hope you can inform Senior King Jiao Lacey. Although the Thunder Dragon Hound young beast is not closely related to King Jiao Lacey, it is its descendant after all. If Lu Xuan wants to take it away, he must get its consent. Don't worry, fellow Daoist Lu, take it away. The old ancestor will be happy that the young beast has a good place to go. If we tell it now, it will disturb its sleep and make the old ancestor unhappy. The double-winged thunder beast looked at the huge green-horned thunder rhinoceros lying on the ground in the distance, snoring like thunder, and said earnestly, "Then I will take it out. If there is a chance in the future, I will bring it here from time to time to let Senior Greenhorned Thunder Rhinoceros know its situation." Lu Xuan clasped his fists and saluted, and took the Thunder Dragon Beast cub out of the Thunder Beast territory. Chapter 664 Spiritual Plant Infection. Outside the cave, the void nightmare eyes swam in the sky, circled the cave several times, and after confirming that there was nothing unusual, Lu Xuan brought the Thunder Dragon Hound cub to the edge of the formation. Passing through 2 5-grade formations, they successfully entered the cave. Crack. The familiar voice of the fat bad sounded, and then it mashed towards Lu Xuan with the force of a mountain. The Thunder Dragon Hound cub at his feet sensed the danger, and silver white lightning burst out of his body, shooting towards the fat bird. It's okay, this is your future friend." Lu Xuan waved one hand, blocking all the silver white lightning, and said to the Thunder Dragon Hound cub. With the other hand, he supported the fat bird's round belly, and threw it to the ground. The fat bird stared with round eyes, curiously looking at the cub that was not even as big as its feet. "This will be a member of the cave from now on. You are a senior and outgoing person, so I will leave it to you to take care of it. If anything happens, I will only ask you," Lu Xuan said to the fat bird with a serious expression. "If you want the young Thunder Dragon to quickly integrate into the cave spirit beasts, the fat bird is the best entry point. The many spirit beasts in the cave have their own characteristics. The cloud stepping lynx is cold on the outside and warm on the inside. It is very arrogant. It is usually invisible and only occasionally shows up when it appears. The two-headed armadillo basically stays in the rocks and is considered a super home beast. The medicine beast is a little transparent and is addicted to the poison. As for the 100 poisonous heart-eating worm, although its personality is good, it can be compared with the current strength of the young Thunder Dragon. If they really play together, they may accidentally be poisoned and die, and it will be difficult to explain to the green-horned Thunder Rhinoceros. There are also Lihojiro, rock-shelled turtle, etc., which basically live in the small lake. The rock-shelled turtle is a good playmate, but the two do not have much intersection in their daily lives. After thinking about it, the fat bird is the most suitable. When the fat bird heard Lu Xuan's words, it nodded hurriedly, pecked the young beast's small body gently, and signaled it to come on its wings. The young beast looked at Lu Xuan, and seeing that he didn't show any abnormality, it hesitated for a moment, and jumped onto the fat bird's broad light blue wings. A gust of green wind swept, and the fat bird soared into the sky, soaring over the cave with the young beast. After a while, the Thunder Dragon young beast landed on the ground, its limbs trembling slightly, but there was excitement in its eyes. The fat bird's move immediately shortened the distance between them. Seeing this, Lu Xuan felt relieved, and brought the Thunder Dragon young beast to the yard, and took out several kinds of spiritual wine from the storage bag. "I'm new here, so I don't have any other good treats. Drink as much as you can first." The young beast let go of its belly and drank the spiritual wine. When it was slightly drunk, Lu Xuan bewitched it to sign a simple contract with him and officially become a member of the cave. After settling the young Thunder Dragon, Lu Xuan could not wait to go to the spiritual field and take out the Flying Thunder ZHI spiritual seed. He found a spiritual field with a relatively strong thunder spirit aura, evenly sprinkled the silver white sand and stone collected from the ancient medicine garden in the Thunder Sea, and cast the earth attraction technique to plant the flying thunder ZHI spiritual seed in the spiritual soil. I didn't expect to get a 6th grade spiritual plant so easily. It's worth my effort to clean the thunder dead crystal impurities for that old greenhorned thunder rhinoceros. Xuan felt the strange spiritual seed buried in the spiritual soil and felt unreal. As his mind moved, clouds surged above the spiritual seed, and strands of spiritual rain fell down, just right on the spiritual soil around the spiritual seed, moistening things silently and slowly blending into it. After cultivating the Flying Thunder ZHI spiritual plant for a while, Xuan kept in mind the characteristics of the spiritual plant, took out a dozen dark green spiritual thunders from the storage bag, and bound it with a simple band, so that the Flying Thunder ZHI could absorb the spiritual thunder to its heart's content. In the perception of the spiritual consciousness, the human-shaped phantom inside the spirit seed moved slightly under the stimulation of the dark green spirit thunder, and there was a sign that it wanted to rush out of the seed. It seems that I still underestimated the attraction of thunder spirit objects to feel easy. It hasn't taken root yet, but it's so dishonest. Xuan shook his head and secretly decided to pay more attention to this 6th grade Felici in the future, lest it be abducted by something in the Lihohu cave without anyone noticing. After planting Felici, Xuan continued to check the many spiritual plants in the spiritual field. When he first entered the Liang realm, the 2 4th grade spiritual plants bought from the Heilao Chamber of Commerce had entered the mature stage. The green spirit branch grew green branches like emeralds, surrounded by powerful vitality. When you get close to the spirit plant, you can feel a fresh and natural breath, which makes people feel comfortable. As for the thunderstorm lotus, a huge silver white lotus has grown, and strands of fine lightning light are falling from the petals. From a distance, it looks like a small circular waterfall. In the perception of spiritual consciousness, the aura in the silver white lotus is extremely unstable, and it seems to be in a state of explosion at any time. If it is stimulated a little, or thunder riot will occur. Xuan cultivated it for a while, and came to the place where the earth fire heart lotus and the 5-element fruit were. The 2 4th grade spiritual plants have entered the seed condensation stage. Each spiritual plant is about to condense 3 to 5 4th grade spiritual seeds. Xuan intends to induce and improve them into new varieties. After the spiritual seeds come out, except for a small number of continued planting, the others will be experimented. On this day, when he was diligently cultivating spiritual plants in the spiritual field, a clear voice came from outside the cave. Dao Ayaolu, can you be in the cave? I'm Zhang Jiuzhang, working for the Heilao Chamber of Commerce. I have met Dao Ayao before. When Xuan heard this, the face of an elegant middle-aged man emerged in his mind. He was in the middle stage of the giant in cultivation, and could be regarded as a senior member of the Heilao Chamber of Commerce. He flashed and came to the edge of the cave. After a brief sweep of his spiritual consciousness, he led the middle-aged man into the cave after confirming that there was nothing abnormal. I'm honored that you have come to my humble abode, he said to the elegant middle-aged man with a smile. Dao Ayaolu is too modest. Your cave is an eye-opener for me. This is the first time I have seen so many rare spiritual plants planted together. Zhang Jiuzhang said with a bow. I wonder why Dao Ayaozhang is here? Xuan brought up the spiritual fruit and tea and asked curiously. Of course, the Chamber of Commerce needs Dao Ayaolu's help. Zhang Jiuzhang put down the teacup and said solemnly. Dao Ayaozhang, please tell me. I will do my best. Seeing that he was so serious, Xuan sat up straight and said in a deep voice. It's like this. The Chamber of Commerce's influence has spread to multiple realms, and there are many secret realms and blessed lands that produce various cultivation resources for the Chamber of Commerce. A while ago, an accident occurred in a blessed land where many 5th grade spiritual plants were planted. The spiritual plants inside were stimulated by something and showed signs of decay and death. A group of 5th grade spiritual plants are decaying? Xuan asked in surprise. Although he didn't plant them himself, as a spiritual plant master, he still felt a little distressed when he heard this. That's right. The spiritual plant masters who cultivated those spiritual plants on behalf of us tried every possible way, but couldn't find the problem. Dao Ayaolu has achieved a lot in the 2 years since he became the head of the Chamber of Commerce. His attainments in spiritual plants can be called perfect. Therefore, I would like to ask Dao Ayao to go over and help find the problem of spiritual plant infection. Zhang Jiuzhang said seriously. Chapter 665 Tiger Leopard Grass. The Chamber of Commerce's top leaders all approved of Lu Xuan's actions after he became a guest of the Chamber of Commerce. Lu Xuan's attainments in spiritual plants were unanimously affirmed by them. He identified many kinds of mutated spiritual plants and exotic spiritual plants, and his success rate was much higher than that of other spiritual plant masters in the Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, when there was a problem with the 5th grade spiritual plants in the Blessed Land, the Chamber of Commerce's top leaders thought of Lu Xuan. Okay, then I'll trouble Brother Zhang to take me to that blessed land to have a look. Lu Xuan said after a moment of hesitation. As a guest of the Heilao Chamber of Commerce, it was his duty to help the Chamber of Commerce solve problems related to spiritual plants. Moreover, he could take this opportunity to show his profound attainments in spiritual plants, so as to more easily gain the trust of the Chamber of Commerce and obtain a large number of high-level spiritual seeds. Lu Xuan had finally managed to hold on to such a thigh that was much thicker than that of the Xianji insect, and he had to pull it out as much as possible. After making the decision, Lu Xuan made some preparations, activated the 2 formations, and instructed the grass puppets and a group of spirit beasts to take good care of the cave, and then left with Zhang Jiuzhang. In the sky, black wind swept, lightning and thunder roared, and Lu Xuan stood on a treasure ship, looking at the strange scene outside the spiritual shield with a calm expression. Dao Ayaolu, come and sit down and taste the spiritual tea that Zhang has collected for many years. Although it is not as good as your spiritual brews, it also has a unique flavor. Not far away, the elegant middle-aged cultivator greeted Lu Xuan. Okay. Lu Xuan readily agreed and drank a mouthful of hot tea full of spiritual energy. It has a rich fragrance and a long aftertaste. Not bad. He smiled and commented. Looking at Dao Ayao's previous behavior, Dao Ayaolu seems to rarely enter the sky. Zhang Jiuzhang asked with a puzzled look on his face. Yes, most of the time I stay in the cave, cultivating spiritual plants, and occasionally go out to just walk around nearby, and I have never experienced entering the void. Lu Xuan replied indifferently. After forming the elixir, you will have to travel to the realms of the heavens many times, and you must travel through the void. There are many dangers in the depths of the void, the most common of which is space cracks, and there are also strong winds, strange thunder, ancient beasts, etc., all of which need to be prepared in advance. The elegant middle-aged man introduced the possible dangers hidden in the void in a deep voice. However, Daoist friend Lu does not have to worry about this trip. The blessed land of the Chamber of Commerce is not far away, and there are not many dangerous places on the way. In addition, there is my 5th grade treasure ship for protection and blessing, which will definitely ensure your safety. When talking about the treasure ship under his feet, Zhang Jiuzhang's expression was a little proud. I envy Daoist friend Zhang for having such a background. I don't know how many spiritual plants I have to plant to own such a treasure ship. Lu Xuan said earnestly. He was not wrong in what he said. So far, no similar rewards have appeared in the light balls that have been opened, and it is unknown when high-level speed-type treasures will be opened. Zhang Jiuzhang misunderstood his meaning and said to comfort him, don't worry, fellow Daoist Lu. With your spiritual plant attainments, as long as you accumulate more years, you can also try to buy a similar treasure ship. Lu Xuan sighed softly, thinking about how to get the high-level spiritual plants that can be used to make treasure ships. More than an hour later, the treasure ship arrived in front of a large-scale restriction. The restriction was natural and exuded a powerful and dangerous aura. Lu Xuan secretly activated the delusion-breaking pupil technique, but could not see the mystery of the restriction at all. He estimated that it was probably of the 6th grade or above. Zhang Jiuzhang flew to the large-scale restriction, took out a jade token of the Chamber of Commerce from his arms, dripped a drop of blood essence into it, and the spiritual light surged on the surface of the restriction, and a narrow passage appeared. The jade token shone brightly, wrapping Lu Xuan and the other person into a vast space. This is a blessed land owned by the Chamber of Commerce. What came into view was a grey world, with animal-shaped phantoms flashing from time to time. Because there are countless demon beast spirits in it, it is named Zuling Blessed Land. The spirits in the Blessed Land are very different from ordinary demon beast spirits. They are more solid in form and generally much stronger in strength. Some even have a high level of intelligence. The Chamber of Commerce has been exploring the Blessed Land for many years, but has never found the reason for these strange spirits. Zhang Jiuzhang took out a flying sword and flew slowly in the low sky. Those demon beast spirits are everywhere. Once they are encountered head-on, they are easily attacked by a group. Although it is not a big problem to solve them, it will waste time, so it is better to avoid them. Lu Xuan nodded, also controlling the Wind and Thunder Sword, and followed Zhang Jiuzhang closely. Due to the special nature of the Blessed Land, some strange spiritual plants have gradually evolved, and the spiritual plant with the problem is one of them. The two gently landed in a wide valley. The valley was shrouded in thick grey fog, and bursts of whistling sounds came from the depths from time to time. Zhang Jiuzhang opened the formation outside the valley, and led Lu Xuan in. Arriving at a spiritual field with pure and rich spiritual energy, Lu Xuan noticed that there were many spiritual plants planted in the spiritual field. In the center, there were more than 10 tall spiritual plants that were particularly eye-catching. The spiritual plants were made up of many grey grasses as thick as fingers, twisted and powerful, with strange shapes. At first glance, I thought it was a hungry tiger pouncing on its food, with a fierce and powerful momentum. Although he didn't check it carefully, Lu Xuan could still see at a glance that the spiritual plants were not in a good state. There were patches of black spots on the grey trunk, and wisps of fine black air escaped from the spots. A fishy smell could be vaguely smelled from the black air. The spiritual plant is called tiger and leopard grass, and its grade is 5th grade. It needs to absorb the spirits of tigers and leopards during its growth. After maturity, it can be used to refine high-level bodybuilding pills, or directly temper the body. The Chamber of Commerce took great pains to get these many spiritual plants. If they all die, the loss will be great. Zhang Jiuzhang looked at the many tiger and leopard grasses in front of him, which looked a little dilapidated, and there was a bit of worry in his voice. Lu Xuan showed the same expression on his face. There were so many 5th grade spiritual plants, and even if they were in his own cave, there would probably not be more. If they died, it would be a pity. Dao Lu, I'll leave these spiritual plants to you. With your spiritual plant attainments, I believe you can find the crux of these tiger and leopard grasses. Dao Zhang thinks too highly of me. I can only say that I will try my best, but I dare not be absolutely sure to find the root cause of the problem. Lu Xuan said calmly, with the special ability to check the detailed status of spiritual plants at any time. He only needs to complete the process of planting tiger and leopard grass to know the problem, but he will not show it easily. First, that ability is too incredible. If it arouses suspicion from others, it will do more harm than good to oneself. Second, if the problem is solved too smoothly, it will not reflect one's own value. If the locksmith opens the door in a few seconds, the owner will only feel that it is not worth it, and he must add some resistance artificially. Chapter 666 Mysterious Tree Monster. Lu Xuan came to a tiger-shaped spiritual plant, squatted down, and carefully explored the black spots on the surface of the plant with his spiritual consciousness. As expected, even though he had been immersed in various spiritual plant classics for many years, and cultivated countless spiritual plants, he still could not identify the origin of the black spots. He did not rush to use that special ability. His brows were furrowed, and sometimes he carefully observed the dark and light black spots on the spiritual plant, and sometimes he squatted beside the spiritual plant, and fell into deep thought. Did Daoist Lu find anything? Zhang Jiuzhang on the side could not help but ask. There are a little clues. It seems that I have seen a similar situation in a rare book, but I still need to check it carefully to see if it is the same symptom. Lu Xuan stood up and said slowly, it's good to have some confidence. Daoist Lu, please work hard to solve the tiger and leopard grass spiritual plant problem as soon as possible. If you need any help, just let me know. Hearing that Lu Xuan had some confidence, Zhang Jiuzhang's attitude lowered a few points. Lu Xuan nodded lightly and continued to check the other tiger and leopard grass. At this time, a wave of spiritual energy came from outside the spiritual field, and a thin monk with a sharp temperament appeared in front of Lu Xuan and the others with a strange monk. Fellow Daoist Zhang, I didn't expect you to come to the Blessed Land. Is this the guest spiritual plant master Lu Xuan whom you specially invited? The thin monk had the same cultivation level as Zhang Jiuzhang, and was also in the middle stage of Jinden. His spiritual sense swept over Lu Xuan, and there was a bit of coldness in his voice. Yes, fellow Daoist Lu has already inspected the tiger and leopard grass for a while, and has a general understanding of some of the situation. Zhang Jiuzhang said immediately. It's better not to waste time. With Senior Mu here, it will be easy to find the problem with the tiger and leopard grass. The thin monk said quickly, with a bit of contempt for Lu Xuan in his words. But Senior Mu from Xuan realm? Zhang Jiuzhang showed a hint of surprise on his face. Yes, these tiger and leopard grasses are of great importance. I specially went to Xuan realm to invite Senior Mu here. The thin monk said proudly. Lu Xuan came in front of the few people and saluted with his fists. Fellow Daoist Zhang, who are these two? The person who is speaking is Han Song, one of the senior members of the Chamber of Commerce. He usually stays in other realms and is rarely seen. His cultivation level is comparable to mine. The one hiding his body is the Senior Mu he mentioned. He is a guardian tree spirit of the Chamber of Commerce's big family, the Mu family. He has stayed in the Mu family for thousands of years and is very powerful. He is a 6th grade spirit. It is said that Senior Mu has an unparalleled talent for wood, can understand the spirits of plants and trees, and can control most spiritual plants. With the talent of the senior, it is naturally the first choice to solve the problem of tiger and leopard grass. However, it usually stays in the Xuan realm and rarely goes out. I didn't expect Han Song to invite it out. However, fellow Daoist Lu, don't worry. Just check the tiger and leopard grass normally. With me here, your credit will still be yours. Zhang Jiuzhang sent a voice message to Lu Xuan and deliberately emphasized the last sentence so that Lu Xuan could rest assured to use his skills to solve the problem of tiger and leopard grass. Lu Xuan nodded imperceptibly, indicating that he understood. At this moment, Han Song's slightly sharp voice sounded in his ears. Dao Lu, can you see any problem? If there is no progress, then let Senior Mu handle it. Hearing this, Lu Xuan felt a little unhappy. Just as he was about to refute, the strange monk who had been hiding in the white-black robe revealed his true face and waved his hand. No problem, let this Dao Lu and I check the tiger leopard grass together. The voice was slow and rough, as if there was a piece of wood blocking the throat and making a sound. Lu Xuan looked up and couldn't help but show a strange color in the depths of his eyes. This so-called Senior Mu turned out to be a tree monster. The exposed body parts were dark green in color, and the skin was like the bark of a 1,000-year-old tree, with dry cracks. Small saplings of different shapes and colors grew out of the cracks in the trunk. In just a few breaths, they went through the complete process from rooting and sprouting to aging and death. Life and death gave people a strange feeling. You are Lu Xuan's guest, right? I heard Mu Xiaozi mention you, and today we finally meet. The tree monster looked at Lu Xuan's blurred features with a kind expression. Mu Xiaozi? Lu Xuan was stunned, and the figure of the strange-tempered Mu Dao in the Chamber of Commerce immediately emerged in his mind. He had heard before that he came from one of the major families of the Chamber of Commerce, but he didn't expect that his background was even greater than he imagined, and he actually had a significant relationship with the 6th grade tree monster in front of him. Lu Xuan greets Senior Mu. He bowed respectfully. Although the cultivation level of the spirit in front of him was only one level higher than his, he had lived for many more years and had a very high seniority in the Chamber of Commerce. It was not an exaggeration to call him a senior. Lu Dao, there is no need to be so polite. Let's solve the abnormality of these tiger and leopard grass together first. The tree monster said gently, and then came to several tiger and leopard grass. I saw a little green on its body, and the green exuded a strong and rich vitality, like a little elf, naturally blending into the black spot area of the tiger and leopard grass. The tiger leopard grass plant gushed out powerful plant spirit energy, swaying slightly towards the direction of the mysterious tree monster, as if responding to it. After a while, green like the stars in the sky, rushed out from the black spots of the tiger leopard grass, but compared with the beginning, the green had changed greatly, and it was vaguely possible to see the black gas entangled around it. Only with the powerful spiritual awareness of the 4 people present Could they vaguely discover the existence of the black gas? Senior Mew, how is it? Can you find out the crux of the tiger leopard grass? Han Song asked impatiently when he saw the tree monster open his eyes. He spent a lot of money to invite this 6th grade spirit from other realms. If he couldn't solve the tiger leopard grass problem, the loss would be great. It should be invaded by some strange existence, causing the tiger leopard grass to develop a special form of disease. That kind of existence is almost invisible and colorless, not the common alien insects, evil spirits, etc. The mysterious tree monster blurred his facial features and showed a thoughtful look. Then Senior Mew, can you tell me the details of the thing that invaded the tiger leopard grass? Seeing the tree monster's expression, the thin monk couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. He gritted his teeth and asked the tree monster, I don't have any clues for now. It should be an extremely rare thing. I can't get more information from the tiger leopard grass. I have to try hard to find a specific solution. As expected, the black-green tree monster shook his head. It's not easy to find these. At least compared with the previous ones, we have eliminated some wrong answers and have a direction to work hard. Zhang Jiuzhang spoke up when Han Song was disappointed. The tree monster, who had high hopes, couldn't find the problem with the tiger leopard grass, which made him lose much confidence in Lu Xuan, who had lower strength and spiritual talent. Since I'm here, I have to try it, he thought to himself, and looked at Lu Xuan. Dao Lu, go take a look at these tiger leopard grasses again. Okay. Lu Xuan responded softly and took a few steps forward. Chapter 667, Soul-Eating Bacteria. He came to a tiger leopard plant with many black spots and carefully inspected every small area of the spiritual plant. On the side, the thin monk saw how serious he looked and couldn't help but whisper softly, Senior Mew can't find the crux of the spiritual plant disease, so why should a spiritual planter who has only been cultivating pills for a few years be a casual practitioner? If you think about it from another angle, if fellow Daoist Lu can become a guest minister of the Chamber of Commerce with the cultivation level of the early stage of pill formation, or if it is personally designated by the spirit of Bao Lao, then his spiritual cultivation must be extremely profound, the tree monster said angrily. Zhang Jiuzhang beside him nodded slightly when he heard the words, with some confidence in his tone. When fellow Daoist Lu just inspected the tiger and leopard grass, he already had some clues. As long as he is given enough time, it is possible to find out the spiritual plant problem. Wishful thinking. Han Song shook his head and glanced at the surrounding area casually. After a while, Lu Xuan felt that the time was right and used the earth drawing technique that had reached the state of transformation to pull out the tiger and leopard grass roots. Why is this, fellow Daoist Lu? He pulled out the spiritual plant directly. Zhang Jiuzhang asked in confusion. When many spiritual plants undergo abnormal changes, they often start from the roots deep in the spiritual soil. In case the spiritual consciousness is missed, I need to check the roots of the spiritual plants. Lu Xuan casually made up a reason to deal with it. He pretended to look at it for a while, then planted the tiger and leopard grass into the spiritual soil again. The spiritual plant is already in the stage of decline. You will only accelerate the process and make it die faster. The thin monk saw Lu Xuan's behavior and said coldly. Lu Xuan did not take the contempt in his words to heart. He stood up and focused on the spiritual plant in front of him that looked like a tiger or a leopard. Then, detailed information about tiger leopard grass appeared in his mind. Tiger and leopard grass, a 5th grade spiritual plant, needs to absorb the soul essence of monsters and beasts during its growth. When mature, it can be used as the main material for high-level bodybuilding elixirs, and can also be used to directly temper the body. Parasitized by the alien bacteria, life is lost. The strange mycelium is a kind of weird mycelium, which is restrained by the most powerful spiritual power such as thunder and fire. It is occasionally generated in areas where a large number of monster bones are buried. It is extremely rare, invisible and colorless, and is easily affected by monster spirits. Solar tracts. Parasite in tiger and leopard grass. When the spiritual plant digests the soul of the monster beast, the soul-eating bacteria will secretly seize the vitality of the vegetation that stores the power of the spiritual soul. After the vitality is extinguished, black spots will form in some areas of the spiritual plant. Until total death. the strange mycelium, and this kind of weird hiffy. Judging from the description, it's just that the way it invades the spiritual plants is strange and weird, and it's not very powerful. I just don't know if it appears naturally in this blessed land, or if it's man-made put it in. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. Fellow Daoist Lu, have you discovered anything? Seeing him like this, Zhang Jiuzhang asked in a somewhat anxious tone. These 10 or so tiger leopard grass plants are valuable. It would be a pity if they all died. More importantly, if the crux of the spiritual plant disease cannot be found, it means that the value of this blessed land, that can grow a large number of 5th grade spiritual plants, will be greatly reduced, and the Chamber of Commerce will not dare to plant leopard grass in it in the future. There are some discoveries. It seems that there have been instances of this kind of situation in a certain incomplete classic, but I can't guarantee it. Lu Xuan said calmly. Oh. Fellow Daoist Lu, have you found out about the strange existence that invaded the tiger and leopard grass? The tree monster on the side asked in surprise. It has lived for thousands of years and has an excellent talent for understanding the spirituality of spiritual plants, but it still cannot find the source of the mutation of tiger and leopard grass, so it did not expect that Lu Xuan could solve this problem. If the guess is correct, the cause of the tiger and leopard grass is a rare and strange mycelium called the soul bacteria. Because the tiger and leopard grass sucks the soul, it parasitizes in the body of the spiritual plant. Then how to solve it? Where is this so-called Taopio strange bacteria? Upon hearing this, Zhang Jiuzhang somewhat believed what Lu Xuan said. This type of mycelium is afraid of the power of thunder and fire. On the premise of not damaging the spiritual plants, you can use thunder and fire magic to force it out. Lu Xuan said in a deep voice. Therefore, the thunder and fire technique that needs to be mastered must be relatively proficient, and at the same time, the grade cannot be too low, otherwise it will not have the effect of threatening the mycelium. In addition, there is one more thing to note. These black spots on the spiritual plants are already necrotic. The parts cannot be restored to normal, so they must be cut off directly. Although it will damage the quality of the mature spiritual plant, it can still recover most of the loss. Thank you, fellow Daoist Lu, for reminding me, said. He came to the tiger leopard grass, hesitated for a moment, and then looked at Lu Xuan. Friend Daoist Lu, friend Daoist Han, and I are not good at thunder, fire, magic, and supernatural powers. The few techniques we master are still learned when we were in the foundation building realm. In addition, we don't know much about spiritual plants. I don't know if you can force out the soul-sucking bacteria instead. I usually focus on spiritual plants. Fellow Daoist Lu, if you can get rid of those weird mycelium, I will entrust you with cultivating some 5th grade spiritual plants in the Chamber of Commerce, and the reward will be greatly increased. In addition, the secret realm controlled by the Chamber of Commerce will also include Lu Daoiya in the selection range. Zhang Jiuzhang interrupted Lu Xuan directly. Occasionally, if you learn a fire control method, then try it reluctantly. Lu Xuan changed his tone very naturally. He originally wanted to only show his talent in spiritual plants, but after hearing that Zhang Jiuzhang could decide the whereabouts of many 5th grade spiritual plants, he immediately changed his mind and planned to use the pure yang that he had mastered by imagining the pure yang true fire barrier real fire to deal with the strange bacteria. I wanted to refuse, but Zhang Jiuzhang gave me too much. With so many 5th and 6th grade treasures and spells, it's okay to expose a little bit. He thought very cautiously. When he came to the tiger and leopard grass, he visualized a barefooted golden crow deep in the sea of consciousness. The whole body of the golden crow was burning with light white gold flames, and the entire sea of consciousness was filled with a burning aura. With a thought in his mind, a wisp of platinum flame burst out from his fingertips, burning quietly. It has been many years since Lu Xuan obtained the pure yang true fire ribbon, and he has been practicing continuously. In addition, he swallowed rare treasures such as pure glazed tea leaves some time ago, which greatly improved his understanding, and he can easily control the pure yang true fire. Is this pure yang true fire? The wood spirit tree monster asked with some doubts. Yes, hard training for many years can be regarded as Lu's life-saving means. Lu Xuan answered truthfully, but he did not confess that he had a little more life-saving means. pure yang true fire is the most yang and the most strong fire. It has a natural restraint effect on evil spirits, and is just suitable for dealing with those mysterious soul-eating bacteria. He controlled the pure yang true fire and came to a tiger leopard grass. The platinum flame was divided into wisps of tiny flames as thin as hair, forming a tight fire network, surrounding the tiger leopard grass and slowly getting closer. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 668 Reminder. Among the 3 Jinden, and 1 with spirit present, Lu Xuan is indeed the most suitable person to clean up the soul-eating bacteria. First of all, he has the pure yang true fire, which is the most yang fire, which naturally restrains the strange mycelium. In addition, he can sense the detailed state of the spiritual plant, and can force the mycelium out at the right time. The thunder and fire spiritual power is domineering and fierce. Although it restrains the soul-eating bacteria, it can also easily cause serious damage to the spiritual plant. If it is light, the threat to the soul-eating bacteria will not be enough. Lu Xuan can accurately control the state of the spiritual plant, and can maximize the effect of the pure yang true fire without hurting the spiritual plant. The platinum fire net continued to harvest. After a while, everyone's expressions moved together. In the perception of the spiritual consciousness, transparent silk thread slowly seeped out from the tiger and leopard grass, passed through the fine holes of the fire net, and stopped in the air and kept wriggling. Seeing this, Lu Xuan's spiritual power surged, and wisps of platinum flames flew out again, gently turning around those transparent silk threads. The transparent silk thread burned silently, spreading at a very fast speed. Soon, it burned into nothingness, and turned into transparent powder, which fell lightly on the ground. Lu Xuan followed the same method and carefully expelled the soul-eating bacteria that parasitized more than 10 tiger leopard grasses, and then cleaned them up with confidence. Okay, the soul-eating bacteria in the tiger leopard grass have been cleaned up. After cutting off all the black spots on the spiritual plants, Lu Xuan came to Zhang Jiuzhang and others and said calmly. He performed the spiritual rain technique, and attracted several tiger-like monster spirits from the surroundings to fully nourish the tiger leopard grass that had just recovered from a serious illness. The parasites in the tiger leopard grass were completely eliminated, and it regained its vitality. Although its shape was a lot of damage, it looked obviously more energetic than before. Fellow Daoist Lu's spiritual plant attainments are really amazing. Zhang Jiuzhang couldn't help but sigh. He had heard that Lu Xuan was quite good at spiritual plants, so after he was at a loss for what to do with the tiger leopard grass, he thought of asking Lu Xuan for help. Unexpectedly, he still underestimated him. He found and solved the unheard of soul-eating fungus so easily. Lu Xuan was so terrifying in spiritual plants. Dao Lu, I was rude just now. Because I have been thinking about these tiger and leopard grass, I was a little abrupt in my words. Please forgive me. The thin monk was also impressed by Lu Xuan. When he just entered the blessed land, he noticed that Zhang Jiuzhang had brought people to check the tiger and leopard grass spiritual plants. He wasted time because he went to the foreign land to invite the Mu family monsters, but he spent a lot of money. If the problem was solved by Lu Xuan, the loss would be not small. Therefore, after arriving at the blessed land, his mentality was a little unbalanced. In addition, he learned that Lu Xuan had just been promoted for a few years and was a casual cultivator. Even if he was a full-time spiritual plant master, his spiritual plant attainments might be limited, so he looked down on Lu Xuan. Unexpectedly, the problem that had troubled the Chamber of Commerce for quite a long time and that senior Mu of the Mu family could not solve, was easily solved by Lu Xuan. Although he felt a little bit sorry, he had to accept the fact and make an acquaintance with Lu Xuan. Although the spiritual plant master in front of him was one level lower than himself, he had a promising future in the Chamber of Commerce with his spiritual plant skills. It's okay, fellow Daoist Han, don't worry about it. It's all for the purpose of solving the tiger and leopard grass problem. I'm also fortunate to meet Senior Mu. Lu Xuan cleverly resolved the unnaturalness in Han Song's expression and didn't take the previous verbal conflict to heart. As long as it didn't involve his life and property and major interests, Lu Xuan just smiled and passed it by with an indifferent idea. Since Han Song took the initiative to offer him a step, he took the opportunity to come down and make a good relationship. By the way, fellow Daoist Zhang, fellow Daoist Han, and senior Mu, there is one thing I must remind you of, he said seriously with a serious look. Fellow Daoist Lu, please speak. Seeing Lu Xuan's expression, Zhang Jiuzhang's joy was immediately diluted a lot, and he hurriedly asked Lu Xuan, these soul-eating bacteria are extremely rare. According to the information I have learned, it is possible that they can be bred in an environment like the Zuling Blessed Land, but other factors cannot be ruled out. According to this scale, the possibility of natural formation is relatively low. What Daoiao Lu means? Lu Xuan nodded. These soul-eating bacteria are likely to be artificially placed in the Blessed Land. Lu Xuan said concisely. There are quite a lot of these soul-eating bacteria. If they are formed naturally, it is difficult to appear on such a large scale at one time. Lu Xuan is worried that there are other factors behind it, so he reminded them. As for how the Chamber of Commerce will exclude and select them later, it has nothing to do with him. Thank you Daoiao for reminding me. I will inform the Chamber of Commerce later and investigate it carefully. Zhang Jiuzhang said solemnly. No matter what, Daoiao Lu has made great contributions in solving the tiger and leopard grass problem this time. The Chamber of Commerce will definitely thank you, he said to Lu Xuan with a smile. Daoiao Lu has not been a guest of the Chamber of Commerce for long and has not yet gained enough trust and understanding. The Chamber of Commerce has more than one guest who is proficient in spiritual plants. Due to your lack of experience, when the Chamber of Commerce entrusts you to cultivate high-level spiritual plants, you will be ranked relatively low. However, after the incident of tiger and leopard grass, your status in the eyes of the Chamber of Commerce's top leaders will definitely rise sharply, at least in my heart. Zhang Jiuzhang's tone was somewhat enthusiastic. When the Chamber of Commerce decides on the ownership of high-level spiritual seeds, I will strongly recommend you, Daoiao Lu, so that you can get the right to cultivate a certain number of high-level spiritual plants. I will also say a few good words for you. Han Song on the side immediately added. Thank you very much, Daoiao. Lu Xuan said quickly, feeling that this trip to the Blessed Land was worth it. He could take this opportunity to get a lot of high-level spiritual seeds, and at the same time he would receive generous rewards from the Chamber of Commerce, killing two birds with one stone. Fellow Daoist Han, fellow Daoist Zhang, the problem of the tiger leopard grass has been solved. I will return to the Xuan realm now. The black-green tree spirit on the side suddenly said. The two tried their best to save it. The tree spirit had made up its mind and finally had no choice but to agree. Fellow Daoist Lu, I'm not in this world at all. I will feel uncomfortable if I stay here for a long time, so I have to go back as soon as possible. Your talent in spiritual plants has opened my eyes. If you have the chance, remember to come to the Xuan realm as a guest and we can have a good exchange. The tree spirit looked at Lu Xuan and smiled kindly. Okay, if I have the chance, I will definitely come to ask Senior Mu for advice. Lu Xuan nodded heavily. He was also somewhat curious about this kind of spiritual tree monster. He wanted to try to see how different it was to cultivate a tree spirit from an ordinary spiritual plant. However, this idea could only be kept deep in his heart, and he would definitely not let the old tree spirit in front of him, who had lived for thousands of years, know. Countless green lights emerged from the tree spirit, and the whole body quickly became virtual, turning into a black-green shadow, and entered the void at the speed of lightning. Chapter 669, Snow Dragon Holy Spring Starfruit. After the Mujia tree monster left, Zhang Jiuzhang and Han Song, two mid-stage alchemy monks, inspected the Blessed Land and found nothing. In desperation, I had no choice but to leave temporarily and let the Chamber of Commerce send someone to investigate. Lu Xuan took Zhang Jiuzhang's treasure ship and returned to Lei Xing Cave smoothly. Fellow Daoist Lu, let's say goodbye. This time, Zuling Blessed Land and his party, thanks to the help of fellow Daoist, have saved a lot of losses for the Chamber of Commerce. When leaving, Zhang Jiuzhang clasped his fists and expressed his gratitude to Lu Zuan sincerely. "You're welcome, fellow Daoist Zhang. This is my duty as a guest of the Chamber of Commerce," Lu Zuan said modestly. "As for the spiritual seeds I told fellow Taoist before, I will urge the relevant monks from the Chamber of Commerce to try their best to bring the spiritual seeds to fellow Taoist Lu. In addition, I will also get a big gift for fellow Taoist. As fellow Taoist, you can solve the problem of Hu leopard grass reward." "Thank you, fellow Daoist Zhang," Lu Zuan said with a smile. "See you later." Lu Zuan watched the treasure ship disappear into the sky. His spiritual consciousness immediately swept through countless subtle thunders around him. Then, he activated the Earth Spirit beads and used the Earth Escape secret method in the secret book of Earth Element. Dark yellow spiritual light gushed out from the soles of his feet and instantly delved deep into the ground. After a while, it was over the cave. The nightmare eyes in the void wandered past, and their grey-white eyes scanned below indifferently. "There's nothing unusual." Lu Zuan sighed softly, not knowing whether he was disappointed or happy. He appeared outside the cave, opened 2 5th level formations, and successfully entered the cave. It's better to stay in the cave for peace of mind. Although the safety is guaranteed, when you go out, it is not as good as your own cave after all. He pulled off the mask and returned to his original appearance. "When I was about to go to the spiritual field to check whether any spiritual plants had matured in the past few days, I heard the strong wind blowing on the mountain in front of me. The fat bird rushed towards me with a pair of broad light green wings. Its round belly did not affect its agility and speed at all. Every time you come back, you have such a big fight, and you don't even look at your current body shape." Lu Zuan supported Feng Falcon's belly with one hand, showing a helpless expression. Roar! A thunderous sound rang in his ears. The roar was clear and childish. Where did the sound come from? Why can't I find the owner of the sound? Lu Zuan couldn't help laughing as he looked at the thunder dragon fell cub hiding under the wings of the fat bird, but with a silver white sharp horn exposed. Upon hearing his words, the thunder dragon cub turned into a silvery white light and shot out, directly crashing into Lu Zuan's arms. It can be seen that it has been living extremely comfortably in the cave during this period. Its body shape has become a little rounder, and its mental outlook does not look as lonely and gloomy as before. Lu Zuan teased the cub who was very close to him, and went directly into the spiritual field. Check the details of each spiritual plant. Once you find that the spiritual plant has any minor needs, you will try your best to meet them to ensure that they are cultivated to perfection. For the next period of time, he stayed in the cave, cultivating spiritual plants, raising spiritual beasts, and practicing several high-level techniques from the light group every day. His life was simple and fulfilling. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, when Lu Zuan was using the spiritual rain technique to nourish the spiritual plants in the cave, a familiar voice came from outside. "Is fellow Daoist Lu in the cave? I'm here with Zhang Jiuzhang." In the middle of Lu Zuan's palm, a grey-white eye jumped out of the crack, and the familiar figure of Zhang Jiuzhang appeared inside. It turns out to be fellow Daoist Zhang. "I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you doing, fellow Daoist?" He turned into a stream of light and came to the edge of the cave. He opened the formation and introduced Zhang Jiuzhang into the cave. "Thanks to fellow Daoist Lu's concern, everything is fine. I just kept thinking about several high-level spiritual brews in fellow Daoist's cave. I got greedy and felt itchy in my heart, so I came here to talk to fellow Daoist about old times." "Haha, Lu. There isn't much else in the cave, so I can still take care of the spirit brewing fruit. You and Taoist friend Zhang will have a good drink later, and you can take some back with you," Lu Zuan said with a hearty smile. "Then you're welcome." Zhang Jiuzhang's face showed joy. The two came to the yard and chatted while enjoying the spirit fruit and spirit pulp. "Fellow Daoist Zhang, what is the current situation regarding the eating of soul bacteria in Zuling Blessed Land? Can it be completely resolved?" Lu Zuan asked aloud. "Now the Chamber of Commerce has sent an Ascent Soul Lord to investigate the matter. I heard that there has been some progress. It is initially determined that a special evil spirit has invaded the Blessed Land, and it also brought the strange mycelium in," Zhang Jiuzhang said in a deep voice. "Just find the root cause. If true Lord Nascent Soul takes action, the evil spirits lurking in the blessed land will definitely be captured. Lu Xuan said with a smile. Don't talk about that. This time I came to Lu Daoiao's cave. In addition to asking for some spiritual brew, I also have a good thing. Zhang Jiuzhang leaned his head closer and said mysteriously. But what about spiritual seeds? Lu Xuan's heart moved, and he asked doubtfully. Indeed. Last time, fellow Taoist Lu solved the mutation problem of tiger and leopard grass, saved a large amount of losses for the Chamber of Commerce, and also made many people see how accomplished the Taoist fellow is in spiritual plants. Therefore, after voting on those 5, when you hand over the spiritual seed to a spiritual planter, you have the support of most of the monks. In addition, the Chamber of Commerce has decided to take out a spiritual spring that is very suitable for spiritual planters and give it to you, fellow Daoist Lu. Took out a white jade narrow-necked bottle from the storage bag. Open the cork of the bottle, and wisps of pale white spiritual energy rush out from the mouth of the bottle. It lasts for a long time, and you become refreshed after smelling it. Lu Xuan looked into the bottle and saw that it contained more than half of the bottle of milky white spiritual liquid. There was a faint white spiritual energy on the surface of the spiritual liquid, and there was a faint shadow of a dragon slowly swimming in the depth of the spiritual liquid. This is it? Lu Xuan asked curiously, looking at the spiritual liquid in the bottle intently. The spiritual liquid is called the Snow Dragon Holy Spring. It is a specialty of a place called Snow Dragon Mountain in Liang. It is a 4th grade product, but its quality is better than most spiritual liquids of the same level. The spiritual energy of the Snow Dragon Holy Spring is pure, holy and flawless, suitable for most spiritual plants, and is the best spiritual object for cultivating spiritual plants. Snow Dragon Holy Spring. Lu Xuan murmured to himself, and spirits such as pure glazed tea and green spiritual branches suddenly appeared in his mind. Plants. These spiritual plants have an urgent need for spiritual spring liquid with such attributes. He carefully took the spiritual spring with both hands and shook it gently. The faint shadow of the dragon in the bottle was looming. The Snow Dragon Holy Spring sent by the Chamber of Commerce is quite large, about 3 liters, and considering that the grade is not low, the reward can be considered extremely generous. Thank you Daoist Zhang for your kind words. He expressed his gratitude to Zhang Jiuzhang. Although he had not seen it with his own eyes, Zhang Jiuzhang must have contributed a lot to get so many Snow Dragon Holy Springs. Fellow Daoist Lu, there is no need to be so polite. In addition to the Snow Dragon Holy Spring, I also brought you 5th grade spiritual seeds. Starfruit, 6. Zhang Jiuzhang said with a smile, and took out 6 more eggs from the storage bag. Began small, a spiritual seed full of aura. The surface of the spirit seed is uneven, like a bright diamond, reflecting dots of starlight. The spiritual consciousness penetrates into the spirit seed, as if entering the vast starry sky. Chapter 670, Thunder Escape Talisman. It is said that this starfruit spirit seed comes from a meteorite from outer space. It was discovered and collected by Yuan Ying's engine of the Chamber of Commerce while traveling in a foreign land. The quantity is limited. I have secured 6 for you, Daoist Lu. Zhang Jiuzhang said with a smile. I don't know much about the specific cultivation method, but I heard from the spiritual plant master of the Chamber of Commerce that the growth of starfruit is closely related to star power. Daoist Lu has to explore and experiment on how to cultivate it. Daoist Zhang, don't worry. I'm still somewhat talented in cultivating spiritual plants. It shouldn't be a problem to cultivate these starfruits. Lu Xuan said confidently. There are only things in the world that he can't grow, but there are no spiritual plants that he can't grow. I worry too much. I actually doubted your spiritual plant level. Director Zhang sneered. Thinking of what Lu Xuan did in the Zuling Blessed Land before, he instantly became full of confidence in him. The 5th grade spiritual plants are extremely difficult to cultivate. Each plant takes a lot of time and energy. Therefore, as long as you successfully cultivate them, the Chamber of Commerce will give you a generous reward. In addition to the basic rewards, the higher the survival rate of the spiritual plants and the better the quality when they mature, the more generous the rewards will be. Got it? Lu will definitely cultivate all 6 starfruits to maturity and will not disappoint the Chamber of Commerce and you, fellow Daoist Zhang. Lu Xuan said with a smile. Those rewards are secondary. For the light ball reward when they mature, he will also do his best to cultivate these 5th grade star fruits. Then I'm relieved. After handing the snow dragon Holy Spring and the star fruit to Lu Xuan, Zhang Jiuzhan did not stay for long. After chatting for a while, he said goodbye and left. Before leaving, Lu Xuan specially gave him a large bottle of jade washing spirit dew to thank him for getting the star fruit for him. This is the benefit of having a big force behind you. After Zhang Jiuzhan left, Lu Xuan looked at the star fruit in his hand that was shining with bright light and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. I have already got the 5th grade spiritual seeds, so how far will the 6th grade spiritual seeds be? He thought secretly and decided to get as many high-level spiritual seeds as possible from the Heilao Chamber of Commerce. When he arrived at the spiritual field, he couldn't wait to put the starfruit spiritual seeds into the spiritual soil. His mind was focused on it, and he immediately learned the detailed information about the starfruit. Starfruit, a 5th grade spiritual plant. The spiritual seeds are stimulated and condensed by the special star power on the meteorite from outer space. During the growth process, it needs to absorb star power. The closer to the starry sky, the more conducive it is for the growth of spiritual plants. It is not necessary to plant it in ordinary spiritual soil. You can use spiritual minerals related to the stars to place around the spiritual plants to promote the growth of spiritual plants. The mature spiritual fruit can play the role of forging the body with the power of the stars after taking it, and can also be used to assist in the practice of special magical powers and exercises related to the stars. The starlight shines, and it grows healthily. It needs to be cultivated in the sky, and it doesn't need to grow in the ordinary spiritual soil environment. Lu Xuan was secretly amazed. After years of cultivating spiritual plants, he had come into contact with countless spiritual species, and all kinds of spiritual plants with strange characteristics emerged one after another, which opened his eyes. The spiritual light of the green shoes on his feet emerged, and he came to the high altitude of the cave like a rocket. He took out 6 starfruit spiritual seeds, and imprisoned them in the air with a simple burn. With a thought, the clouds around the spiritual seeds surged, and strands of spiritual rain seeped out from the lightning, and drilled into the starfruit spiritual seeds. Under the shining of the stars, the bright light in the depths of the spiritual seeds moved slowly, as if echoing with the stars in the distant night sky. At present, this can only guarantee the basic growth needs of the starfruit. If you want to cultivate it to maturity as soon as possible, you have to find more special spiritual minerals related to the stars. Lu Xuan looked at the starfruit that showed some vitality and thought secretly. The unexpected acquisition of 6 5th grade starfruits and a large amount of excellent 4th grade spiritual liquid snow dragon Holy Spring made him feel very happy, and his pace of patrolling the spiritual field was much easier. After a few days of cultivation, the starfruit spirit seed showed subtle changes. Lu Xuan noticed that the bright light inside the spirit seed seemed to be escaping. When he focused his mind on it, he realized that this was the performance of the spirit seed slowly approaching germination. I don't know how the spirit plant can take root and sprout in the air. With such a guess, Lu Xuan fell back into the spirit field and checked the other spirit plants in the spirit field one by one. Suddenly, his expression moved, and his keen spiritual consciousness noticed that a green talisman appeared outside the cave. He stretched out his hand to call the talisman over, and a trace of spiritual power activated it. The gentle voice of Yulin Sanren came from the talisman. Dao Lu, I'm very grateful for your kindness in taking me in last time. In the near future, I will hold a small meeting with several Daoists in King Mu Star Cave to exchange our cultivation experiences and treasures. One of the Daoists will bring out some unknown treasures and specially invite Dao Lu to come and appraise and exchange treasures together. King Mu Star Cave is very friendly to spiritual plant masters. I believe Dao Lu will return with a lot of treasures. Yulin Sanren invited me to King Mu Star Cave. Lu Xuan memorized the time and address in the talisman and fell into deep thought. Each of the 18 star caves has its own strangeness. I can go and see it. In addition, I can take this opportunity to meet more Giant and Zenran, and maybe I can get magical spirit seeds from the treasure exchange meeting. Thinking of this, Lu Xuan was more inclined to go to King Mu Star Cave. However, there was still more than a month before the time agreed on the talisman, so it was not very urgent. Thinking in his heart, Lu Xuan noticed that the first 4-grade thunderstorm lotus he got was fully mature. Collect the light ball, collect the light ball. He was delighted and carefully picked the silver white lotus with the thunder waterfall flowing. The thunderstorm lotus is a 4th grade spiritual plant. It is cultivated with the spiritual power of thunder. The mature lotus seeds condense pure and rich thunder and lightning power. It can be used to raise thunder spirit beasts or swallowed to assist in practicing certain thunder related skills and magical powers. Raising thunder spirit beasts, I just don't know if the larval thunder dragon can withstand the power in the thunderstorm lotus seeds. Lu Xuan thought to himself and decided to temporarily put the thunderstorm lotus seeds into the gluttonous insect bag and find the right time to raise the thunder dragon later. Anyway, there are still many thunderstorm lotuses collected from the ancient medicine garden in the spiritual field, so there is no need to worry about not being able to feed the thunder dragon. Then, he set his eyes on the white light ball that quietly emerged. The light ball flickered slightly. Even though he had touched countless of them, it still had great attraction for Lu Xuan. He reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball, which instantly shattered silently and turned into countless tiny light points. The light points instantly condensed into a talisman phantom and sank into Lu Xuan's body at an extremely fast speed. Then, a thought flashed through his mind. Harvest a 4th grade thunderstorm lotus and obtain a 5th grade talisman, the Thunder Extreme Escape Talisman. Right square bracket. Chapter 671. Billing King Xuan Pill. The thought disappeared, and a magical talisman appeared in Lu Xuan's palm. The talisman was silver white, and when held in the hand, one could feel the faint pressure from it. On the surface, there were many hair-thin thunders swimming slowly. When the sight was focused on those thunders, the swimming speed instantly increased countless times, and flashed through Lu Xuan's eyes. His mind was focused on the silver white talisman, and suddenly, detailed information about this talisman appeared in his mind. The Thunder Extreme Escape Talisman, a 5th grade talisman, was refined by Yuan Ying's engine who collected the evil thunder from the sky. When activated, you can use the evil thunder power in the talisman to perform the thunder escape magic power, and in a blink of an eye, you can escape thousands of miles away. After being activated, it is equivalent to performing the thunder escape magic power. It is a very good treasure for escaping. Lu Xuan looked at the talisman in his hand, happy in his heart, and thought secretly. At present, he has relatively weak escape treasures and skills. Only the 4th grade King Fielu magic weapon, the 5-element escape method, the 4th grade earth bead and the Earth Yuan secret book. Now, the appearance of this 5th grade thunder escape talisman can make up for his shortcomings to a certain extent. I hope I don't have to use this talisman, he thought secretly in his heart. If he had to activate this talisman, it meant that he might be in a more dangerous situation. It would be best if he didn't have the opportunity to use it. After harvesting the thunderstorm lotus, Lu Xuan continued to patrol the spiritual field and check the status of the spiritual plants. We can try to plant this thunderstorm lotus on a large scale in the cave. The Thunder Mars cave is suitable for their growth. The spiritual plant grade is a 4th grade, which is not low. Let's see if we can buy some thunderstorm lotus spiritual seeds from the Chamber of Commerce. It's a pity that there is no corresponding method of condensing seeds, otherwise I can plant them on a large scale. Lu Xuan felt more and more the preciousness of the method of condensing seeds. Without the method of condensing seeds, even if he could sense the detailed status of the spiritual plants, he would be like a headless fly and could only try randomly. He might be able to figure it out on low-level spiritual plants, but if the spiritual plants were of higher grades, it would be a bit of a loss. Fortunately, I got a few methods of condensing seeds when I left the sect. He secretly luckily got the methods of condensing seeds such as the Earth Fire Heart Lotus and the 5-element fruit from the Sinner Hall in advance when he moved away from the Xianjian sect. Let's try the effect of the Snow Dragon Holy Spring. Lu Xuan came to the green spirit branch and took out a drop of milky white spiritual liquid from the white jade bottle, floating in the air under the control of his spiritual consciousness. Then he cast the spirit rain technique, and the spirit liquid silently merged into the surging clouds in the sky. Threads of spiritual raindrops fell down and landed on every part of the green spiritual branch. The originally emerald green spiritual plant seemed to have been washed by a spring rain, clear and bright, and more vibrant. Xuan noticed that the translucent progress bar below the spiritual plant was about to be filled, and he couldn't help but feel a little happy. As a spiritual plant master, there is nothing more joyful than the successful maturity of spiritual plants. What's more, Xuan can also harvest the light ball reward and open all kinds of unknown rich treasures. In addition to the green spiritual branch, there are also the pure glass tea purchased from the Chamber of Commerce not long ago, and the bottle willow obtained from the Blackwater Star Cave, which have extremely high requirements for the spiritual environment. Xuan took out a few drops of the Snow Dragon Holy Spring, and poured them on the two spiritual plants one by one. The pure glass tea grew a light green seedling, surrounded by clear air, exuding a fresh and natural smell. The growth of the Jingping willow was a little slower, and it had not yet taken root and sprouted. However, the spiritual consciousness could roughly sense that the strange spirit seed in the spirit soil, which was shaped like a cotton feather, was slowly stretching out, and the green filaments were about to break out of the soil. With the nourishment of the Snow Dragon Holy Spring, the growth of the two spirit seedlings would be slightly accelerated to a certain extent. After dripping the Snow Dragon Holy Spring, the speed at which the green spirit branch matured was slightly faster than Xuan had imagined. In less than half a month, the spirit plant was fully mature. Xuan stood in front of the green spirit branch, with a thin layer of greenwood source energy on his palms, and carefully pulled the green branch out of the spirit soil. His mind was focused on it. The green spirit branch, a 4th grade spirit plant, has extremely high requirements for spirit soil and spiritual energy. It needs to be watered with pure spiritual springs frequently. After maturity, the branches contain rich vitality. It can be used as the main material for refining high-level healing pills, and can also directly absorb vitality to make up for the lack of essence of the cultivator. It's still of good quality. I spent so much on the spirit of the Yaoquan, and it was especially nourished by the holy Snow Dragon Spring when it matured. Xuan sighed in his heart. This green spirit branch is extremely delicate. It is easily invaded and polluted by other spiritual energy during its growth process. The same is true after it is picked. If Xuan pulls it out directly with his hands, its flesh and blood power will affect the rich vitality in the spirit plant. When storing, it must also be stored in the corresponding container and means. Xuan carefully put it into a mottled wooden box, and then put it into the gluttonous insect capsule, to prevent the vitality of the spirit plant from slowly fading. Then, his attention was attracted by the white light ball that quietly emerged below. The light ball flickered slightly, and there was a special attraction for Xuan. He reached out and gently touched the surface of the light ball, and the light ball silently shattered, turning into tiny light spots all over the sky, and instantly merged into a slender river of light, pouring into Xuan's body. Then, a thought emerged in his mind. Harvest a 4th grade green spirit branch, and obtain the 5th grade elixir green spirit green Yuan pill. The thought flashed through his mind, and a round pill appeared in front of Xuan. The pill was the size of a pigeon egg, turquoise in color, with many dense patterns on the surface, and full of vitality, making people want to swallow it in one gulp. Xuan suppressed his inner desire, and focused his mind on the turquoise pill. Beling King Yuandan, 5th grade, top grade healing pill, contains rich vitality, can heal the injuries suffered by most Jindan Zenran, and can also raise wood type spirit beasts, greatly promoting their growth. 5th grade healing pill. Being able to produce a 5th grade pill from a 4th grade spirit plant at the Jindan realm has exceeded Xuan's inner expectations, and he was very happy. Although I really want to keep this Beling King Yuandan, but think about it carefully. When was the last time I was injured? After having the light ball, Xuan basically stayed in the cave, and occasionally went out, but it was also on the premise of ensuring his own safety to the greatest extent, so he could not remember the last time he was injured. Well, raising wood type spirit beasts may be used to feed the demon ghost vine. The demon ghost vine has been with him for many years. Due to its special shape, although it is a spirit plant, it has the same habits as spirit beasts, so it has not yet become a complete form. This Belinking Yuan pill may help the demon ghost vine when it is promoted to a 5th grade demon beast. The demon ghost vine helped him find a large number of high-level spirit seeds, and it has made great contributions. The 6th grade phoenix tree was obtained by it when it brought Lu Xuan there. It is reasonable to reward it with this 5th grade Belinking Yuan pill. Chapter 672. Too many treasures are also a kind of trouble. After the green spirit branch, there were no new higher level spirit plants that were about to mature in the spirit field. Although the 6th grade phoenix tree had entered the maturity stage, it would not mature in 10 days or half a month. If the 3rd grade nailing grass beads were used to ripen it, it would probably take up more than half of it. Lu Xuan was quite patient and waited quietly. He only took out a wisp of Yuan True Fire from the Yuan True Fire beads every once in a while to accelerate the growth of the phoenix tree. In addition, the 5 white bones killing sword grass and the light splitting shadow sword grass, as well as the evil Yuan fruit in the netherworld spirit field, had all entered the maturity stage, and the harvest of light balls was just around the corner. Therefore, Lu Xuan focused on improving the spirit seeds. He put the condensed earth fire heart lotus spirit seeds together and slowly baked them with the pure yang true fire he cultivated. The earth fire heart lotus spirit seeds themselves have extremely strong fire resistance, and they are like fish in water in the pure yang true fire, and will not be damaged. As for the 5 element fruit spirit seeds, Lu Xuan placed them in the illusion 5 element formation. There were a large number of 5 element spirit beasts in the formation, and the 5 element power was rich, which was very beneficial to the 5 element fruit spirit seeds. The earth fire heart lotus and the 5 element fruit were both 4th grade spirit plants. If they wanted to be improved to the 5th grade, it would not be done overnight. It required various conditions of the right time and place. According to Lu Xuan's understanding, there was almost no way to condense the seeds of the 5th grade spirit plants. Most of them were born from heaven and earth, and were extremely difficult to obtain. If he wanted to improve and upgrade the grades of the 2 spirit plants, he had to use unusual means to have a slight chance of success. Fortunately, he could grasp the detailed status of the spirit seeds in time, so he could save a lot of time and energy, and even make targeted changes to the spirit seeds. In the spirit field, dozens of plants planted before have entered a rapid growth period. The growth momentum of the 26 blue and slender spirit plants was very good, and the cold air was pervasive, causing a thin layer of frost to condense on the surface of the surrounding spirit soil. In addition, there were 10 ice firefly grass seedlings in the spirit field next to it, which were improved by Lu Xuan from the water firefly grass spirit seeds. After he was promoted to the giant stage, the cultivation reward from the water firefly grass was better than nothing, so he simply used it all to condense spirit seeds, and then used ice soul pills to stimulate and improve it, so as to select ice firefly grass spirit seeds, and get enough ice firefly grass as soon as possible. A total of 36 ice firefly grasses. After harvesting another batch and condensing a large number of spirit seeds, I can quickly improve my cultivation and condense a lot of spirit seeds at the same time. By then, it will be almost the period of rapid growth of my cultivation. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart and cast the spirit rain technique to take care of all the ice firefly grass spirit plants meticulously. Calculating the time, it's about time to go to King Mu's Star Cave to participate in the small meeting jointly organized by Yulin Sanren. Lu Xuan has always maintained an active attitude towards such banquets. As early as when he was in the Xianjian sect, he exchanged a lot of high-level spirit seeds from such small meetings, and even had more than one situation of picking up leaks, obtaining rare spirit seeds at a very low price, and making a lot of money. I was poor before, so I could only try to make a small investment for a big gain. Now that I'm wealthy, I can directly use my treasures to attack people and get the spiritual seeds or spiritual plant related treasures I want. He fell into deep thought, thinking about which rare treasures he should use to exchange with others for spiritual seeds and spiritual beasts at the meeting. The number of 6th grade treasures is limited, so I must collect them all. After all, I'm only in the early stage of Jianden, and I'm just an ordinary spiritual plant master outside. If I rashly take out a 6th grade treasure, I'm afraid it will cause unnecessary trouble. As for the 5th grade, although there are several types that I haven't used yet, in order to avoid abnormal situations, I'll keep them for now and use them to save my life. The soul capture blood palm is only a low-level magical power. At the same time, there may be a risk of alienation after practicing. There are currently many high-level spiritual plants in the cave, so there is no need to worry about subsequent skills and magical powers. At present, among the 6th grade skills and magical powers, he owns the Blood Nerf, the mysterious Heavenly Kingwei method, and an ethereal Ultra Water Forbidden method, so this low-level magical power, the Soul Capture Blood Palm, is a bit useless for him. If the conditions are right, it can be used to exchange for spiritual seeds, etc. The Red Dust Monument plays a significant role in the promotion to the core formation stage, but it is not very useful after the core formation stage. However, this kind of treasure is priceless to those small sects and families. It is not too much to exchange it for a 6th grade spiritual seed or a 6th grade demon beast. There are also several kinds of 5th grade spiritual plants and spiritual medicines that I have harvested recently, such as the Yaoquan flower, the Yinku wood, the Vajra body, etc., which are extremely rare and precious. Lu Xuan thought to himself. Unconsciously, I already have so many 5th grade and 6th grade treasures on me. Sometimes, having too many treasures is also a kind of trouble. For example, now, it is completely difficult to make a decision. He shook his head and sighed softly. I'm not interested in treasures at all. My happiest time was when I was in Linyang Market, planting 2 or 3 spiritual fireflies. He thought very versatile. A few days later, when Lu Xuan was about to set off, a familiar voice came from outside the cave. Dao Iao Lu, I came to find you to go to King Mu's Star Cave together. Dao Iao Xuan. The figure of a young cultivator emerged in Lu Xuan's mind. In order to avoid the malicious intent, he followed several giant and cultivators from Lihuo Star Cave and returned to the cave together, so he got to know them. Among them, the cultivator named Xuan Yuan Zhe also entered the cave as a guest and occasionally met below to communicate. How did Dao Iao Xuan Yuan know that Lu was planning to go to King Mu's Star Cave? Lu Xuan came to the outside of the formation and led the young man into the cave. This small meeting was jointly organized by Yulin Sanren. You and her are both spiritual plant masters, and you have a good relationship. She will naturally invite Dao Iao Lu. Besides, there are many plants and trees in King Mu's Star Cave. As a spiritual plant master, Dao Iao Lu must have a lot of interest in them. How could he miss such a good opportunity? The young man said with a smile. That's right. I do plan to go to King Muxing Cave. Since Daoist Xuan Yuan has the same idea, let's go together. Lu Xuan brought a cup of freshly brewed jade washing spirit Yuan said gently. Okay, that's what I mean. However, I don't understand why Daoist Lu chose to settle in Lihuaxing Cave. King Muxing Cave may be more suitable for spiritual plant masters. It was a coincidence that I happened to take a fancy to Lihuaxing Cave. Otherwise I wouldn't have the opportunity to meet Daoist Xuan Yuan and others. Lu Xuan said with a smile. When he chose Lihuaxing Cave, he was considering the 2 6th grade spiritual plants, Phoenix Tree and Zingui Thunder Fruit. The spiritual environment here is more suitable for their growth. Now it seems that his choice was not wrong. After entering Lihuaxing Cave, he obtained a large number of high-level spiritual seeds from it, and even a 7th grade Yemukingli vine, which can be said to be a great harvest. With the speed at which I earn spirit stones by running a grocery store, once I have a high-level protective formation, it would be completely feasible to rent or buy a cave in King Mu's Star Cave, if it is suitable. He thought secretly in his heart. Chapter 673 Tree Lady. Boundless green world. A flying boat shot out from a huge deep green vortex. Lu Xuan put his hands behind his back, watching everything in the King Mu's Star Cave with interest through the spiritual shield. After he and Xuan Yuan Zhe left the Lihuo Star Cave together, they took the other party's flying boat and successfully entered the King Mu's Star Cave. What came into view was a world of trees and vines. There were dozens of feet of giant trees densely packed, countless strange vines entwined between the trees, and weeds of various shapes grew wildly and wantonly, and the whole world was filled with a strong wood spirit. This is the King Mu's Star Cave. Next to him, Xuan Yuan Zhe introduced it to Lu Xuan with a smile. Sure enough, there is no mistake in the name. Lu Xuan couldn't help but sigh. As he was talking, a black vine several feet thick rose high on the side of the flying boat, as if watching Lu Xuan and the 2 people in the flying boat. Hundreds of green grass and wood monsters flapped their thin forewings, and followed closely behind Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan looked down and saw giant trees pulling up their roots that stretched for who knows how many feet, walking with big strides. The vines and plants in front seemed to have their own consciousness and moved away, fearing that they would be stepped on by the giant trees. Fellow Daoist Xuanian, these plant spirits. Lu Xuan saw that Xuanian Zhe seemed to be used to it and reminded him. Fellow Daoist Lu, don't worry. These spirits are not very aggressive and generally will not actively attack the monks who enter the King Mustar cave. Moreover, with their simple intelligence, they must be able to distinguish which ones can be provoked and which ones cannot be provoked. The young man smiled. Lu Xuan nodded. Yes, those with strong aggressiveness, Xiangxing Cave will never let them stay in it. After a long sweep, those who remain are naturally relatively friendly. Each of the 18 star caves in Xiangxing Cave has its own magical features. Liuxing Cave has the mysterious Sea of Thunder, and King Mustar Cave is said to have its roots in the legendary Jianmu. A branch of Jianmu grew and differentiated into a cave paradise like King Mustar Cave. Xuanian Zhe introduced to Lu Xuan. Jianmu? Lu Xuan exclaimed. That can be called the legendary innate spiritual treasure. Unexpectedly, this so-called King Mustar Cave has some connection with it. Of course it is not the Jianmu itself, but just a branch of it, and it is only a rumor. I don't know whether it is true or not. The young man explained. Lu Xuan was a little curious in his heart. If he could grow the legendary ancient spiritual plant, he would be happy, even if he harvested the Jianmu light ball. Although he thought about it, he didn't have much expectation. He watched the various strange plants and grass spirits below with a calm mind. There were greenwood goblins growing half of their bodies from the branches of strange trees, and there were small and delicate elves whispering to each other. Lu Xuan even saw a bunch of giant trees gathered together, carrying out primitive reproduction. It can be regarded as a pollination of plants in the cultivation version, but it is too vivid and obvious. Lu Xuan sighed secretly. He suddenly had a strange idea. It is also a good way of life to travel to various cultivation resorts like this, to see the unique customs, and to collect all kinds of strange spiritual plants and spiritual beasts. Of course, this must be based on the premise that one has enough strength, otherwise, the cultivators he meets on the way may not think the same way as he does. Alas, I originally wanted to look to the bright moon, but the bright moon shines on the ditch. Why do we have to fight and kill? Looting and sneaking at me only provide me with various cultivation resources, and even become fertilizer for the spiritual plants I grow. Lu Xuan shook his head secretly in his heart. After a moment, the flying boat entered a more lush and green world. When passing through a green forest, bursts of sweet laughter rang in my ears. Then, 3-foot-tall little people flew out from the tree trunks. The wood spirits are no different from ordinary people, with delicate features, white skin, and green lines spreading on their cheeks and limbs, adding a bit of charm to their pure faces. Who are these wood spirits? Lu Xuan looked at the more than 10 wood spirits approaching the flying boat and asked curiously. This is the tree lady, a rare plant spirit, born as a mother, living on the spiritual energy of plants and trees, and innocent and pure by nature. Xuanian Zhe introduced to Lu Xuan. Tree lady. I didn't expect that the spirit of the tree demon would also be feminized and appear. But speaking of it, there is a huge difference between feminization and feminization. In a sense, the evil tree demon in the cave can also be regarded as a feminized spiritual plant. When Lu Xuan thought of the evil tree demon in the spiritual field that fought against the demon ghost vine every day with a strange shape and a fierce look, and then saw the cute and innocent little tree lady in front of him, he suddenly felt that the evil tree demon looked hateful. While he was daydreaming, he noticed that more than a dozen tree ladies had been following the flying boat, and their eyes fell on him with a bit of curiosity. Does Dao Lu have the spiritual energy of plant treasures? These tree ladies may be attracted by them, so they unconsciously show some intimacy to Dao. Xuanian's on the side suddenly reminded him. Lu Xuan suddenly realized, and the light green light ball in his dantian accelerated his rotation. With a thought, wisps of pure greenwood source energy flowed out of his 10 fingertips. As soon as he stretched out his finger, the surrounding tree maidens shrank rapidly and flew to his finger, eagerly sucking the greenwood energy. Due to the different numbers, several tree maidens even gathered around one finger, greedily letting the light green spiritual energy into their bodies. After swallowing enough greenwood energy, more than 10 tree maidens condensed a flower mark filled with fresh and natural breath, left it to Lu Xuan, and then reluctantly said goodbye to him. Dao Ayaolu is really lucky. The tree maidens are not ordinary plant spirits. The value of this special mark should not be low. Xuan Zhe's expression was a little envious. I'm lucky. As a spiritual plant master, I happen to have a kind of plant spiritual energy that is usually used to cultivate spiritual plants and accelerate the growth of spiritual plants. I didn't expect to be loved by these little elves. Lu Xuan put the flower mark into the storage bag and said with a smile, "This was just a small episode on the way to Yulin Sanren Cave." The flying boat was traveling at a high speed. After a while, it came to a towering tree that was nearly 1,000 feet high. The area of the giant tree is equivalent to that of an ordinary town. There are many natural tree houses inside, and various forms of plant spirits fly out of the tree houses from time to time. Yulin Sanren's cave is located on this giant tree. Daoist friend Lu, please come in. Xuan Zhe put away the flying boat magic weapon and made an invitation gesture to Lu Xuan with one hand. Daoist friend Xuan, please come in. The two were about to fly into the giant tree, and green light emerged from the giant tree, and Yulin Sanren appeared in front of them. Daoist friend Lu, Daoist friend Xuan, welcome, welcome. Her black hair seemed to merge with the giant tree, and an eager smile appeared on her face. Chapter 674, Corpse Skin. Dao Yulin. Lu Xuan clasped his fists and saluted, smiling and greeting. Dao Ayaolu is a rare guest. I heard from other Daoists that it is as difficult as ascending to heaven to invite you out of the cave. Yulin Sanren chuckled. This time, I must stay in King Muxing Cave for a few more days, discuss and exchange experiences of cultivating spiritual plants with other Daoists and me, and see the uniqueness of King Muxing Cave. Okay, then I'll bother you. Lu Xuan followed Yulin Sanren and entered a spacious and quiet wooden house. The wooden house was built with many bamboo-like branches. Once you enter it, you can feel a sense of comfort. Let me introduce a few fellow Daoists. This is fellow Daoist Xuan, who is proficient in many thunder-related magical powers and has great strength. This is fellow Daoist Lu Xuan, who is low-key and rarely leaves the cave. He is one of the few people who have been promoted to the Jiandan stage in Xiangxing Cave in recent years, and has a very deep attainment in the art of spiritual plants. There were already 4 Jiandan cultivators in the wooden house, 2 of whom Lu Xuan had known before. One was Wang Suhui, who had a very pleasant conversation with him in the Blackwater Star Cave. He was proficient in taming beasts, and the other was just a casual acquaintance, with whom he had not had much contact. Yulin Sanren introduced the other 2 Jiandan cultivators to Lu Xuan and the others, asked the maid in the cave to serve spiritual fruits and tea, gave a few instructions, and left again to welcome the rest of the Jiandan cultivators who came. Lu Xuan sat in a corner, quietly tasting the spiritual fruits and tea, listening to the words of the other Jiandan cultivators, and occasionally interrupting to show his presence. Fortunately, the spiritual fruit that Yulin Sanren brought out is unique. If it's suitable, I can take some back to the cave to cultivate. Lu Xuan thought secretly, and he became interested in the spiritual fruit he just tasted. Dao Ayaolu. Just as he was enjoying the delicious food, suddenly, an old voice sounded in his ears. Looking in the direction of the voice, he saw a skinny old man looking at him with a smile. So it's Dao Ayahuang. May I ask what you can do for me? Lu Xuan stood up and asked. Just now, from Yulin Sanren's introduction, he learned that the old man's name was Huang Yandang, a casual cultivator, and he was also in the early stage of Jiandan. I don't dare to teach you, but I heard that Dao Ayaolu is good at spiritual plants. It happened that I also planted a few spiritual plants when I was bored. The grade is not bad, and the planting process is a bit difficult. After the meeting, I must ask Dao Ayaolu for advice. The skinny old man pulled an arc at the corner of his mouth and said to Lu Xuan, "Oh, I wonder what kind of spiritual plants fellow Daoist Huang is growing? Perhaps I have some knowledge of their cultivation methods." Lu Xuan said modestly. The spiritual plants I grow are a little bit unconventional, and the cultivation method is relatively unique, and even requires flesh and blood. I wonder if fellow Daoist Lu can accept it? Spiritual plants that require flesh and blood to cultivate. That would be against the harmony of nature. Lu Xuan's acting skills have long been honed, and he showed a bit of surprise at the right time. Just need flesh and blood. I thought it was so unique. He secretly complained, paused, and said to the skinny old man. However, as long as the method of obtaining flesh and blood is normal, it is not unacceptable. After entering the Xiangxing cave, he already knew that there were all kinds of cultivators inside, and it was not a famous and authentic environment like the Xianjian sect before. It was not uncommon to see unconventional cultivators and even evil cultivators, so he did not show too much surprise. If fellow Daoist Lu can have such an idea, then I'm relieved. I will have a good exchange with you later. The skinny old man showed a satisfied expression and turned away. Lu Xuan looked at him with a half smile. What a familiar smell of plants and trees. There must be several evil spiritual plants in Huanggan Cave. He even possesses more than one evil technique and magical power. Lu Xuan thought secretly in his heart. However, as long as his life and interests are not endangered, it does not matter to him what technique he practices. If he can bring him high-level spiritual seeds, he will be very enthusiastic and willing to treat him as a guest of honor. Not long after, 8 or 9 Jinden Zenran entered the wide wooden house. Welcome all Taoist friends to attend this small meeting held by me. Yulen Sanran climbed onto a wooden platform and said to everyone with a smile. Lu Xuan sat below and scanned the spiritual consciousness. There were not many cultivators who came to attend the small meeting, including himself. There were a total of 16 people, but they were all Jinden cultivators, and together they were considered a considerable force. He noticed that there was a late Jinden cultivator, 3 mid-Jinden cultivators, and the rest were early Jinden cultivators. It is not difficult to know from Yulin Sanran's introduction that the Jinden cultivators who came here are mainly independent cultivators, and only 3 or 4 people came from Xiangxing Cave or other sects and family forces in Liang Realm. After the meeting began, everyone began to exchange various news and intelligence in the cultivation world, cultivation experience, magic and supernatural powers, etc. Lu Xuan stated at the beginning that his cultivation was average, and he was not good at magic, so he kept silent most of the time, and did not join the discussion. He was also not good at talking about the cultivation method he practiced. After all, whether it was Zuanshan King Wei Mao Fa, or Yaoming Zenshu Bang Fa, or Yunshan Tian Powang Tang Shi were extremely rare, and there were even 2 6th grade ones, which were stronger than the cultivation methods practiced by those middle and late Jinden cultivators. If you communicate with them rashly, you may be exposed if you are not careful, so it is better to remain silent. Half a day later, everyone ended the exchange of various secret realms and cultivation methods with reluctance, and entered the stage of exchanging treasures with each other. Yulen Sanran briefly introduced the rules: free exchange, no forced buying and selling, and then announced the official start. Hearing this, Lu Xuan was refreshed. He finally arrived at the scene he had been looking forward to. Several Jinden monks took out magic tools, elixirs, talismans, materials, etc., all of which were of high grade, mostly 5th grade, and even 6th grade materials. The monks holding treasures would briefly introduce the grade and efficacy of the treasures, and also inform other monks of the type of treasures they needed, and then quietly wait for someone to contact and exchange. Among the people present, those who were interested either asked directly, or communicated through voice transmission. From time to time, monks showed joy on their faces, and the scene was extremely hot. Among the many treasures that appeared, some were not as good as those in Lu Xuan's hands, but they were still pretty good. However, in order to maximize his own interests and exchange for spirit seeds, spirit beast embryos and young beasts, or related resources, Lu Xuan remained silent. After a while, he noticed that a Jinden mid-stage monk took out a strange bark. The bark was only the size of a palm, with bright colors, and the shape was like a living skin bag that had been shed alive, slowly wriggling in the monk's hands. I have a special spiritual seed in my hand. Although it looks like tree bark, it can actually be used to cultivate spiritual plants. I found it by chance when I was traveling in the outer realm before. It is called the corpse skin. The grade should be 6th grade. I will exchange it for a skill or magical power of no less than 5th grade. If the magic weapon is suitable, I can also accept it. Chapter 675 Family Heirloom. 6th grade spiritual seed. Lu Xuan's heart moved, and his sight was completely attracted by the palm-sized gorgeous bark. As a spiritual plant master, he knew the value of the 6th grade spiritual seed best. Among the treasures of the same level in the cultivation world, the skills and magical powers are generally the most valuable, followed by formations, magic tools, etc., then elixirs, talismans, and finally various cultivation resources. However, there are also special ones, which cannot be generalized. For example, the value of the foundation building pillars far higher than other 3rd grade elixirs. The 5th grade red dust tablet that Lu Xuan obtained from the light ball, which can temper his mind, is also higher than many 5th grade treasures. However, even if the value of spiritual seeds is the lowest among treasures of the same level, the 6th grade ones are still extremely rare in the cultivation world. Since he came across such a special bark, he certainly couldn't miss it. While he was thinking, a cultivator in the early stage of the giant stage stood up and took out a dark yellow jade slip from his storage bag. The jade slip looked heavy and extraordinary. Fellow Daoist, I have a 5th grade earth related skill here, called the True Secret of Wu Earth, which is of good quality and can be used as a treasure of some small sects. How about exchanging it for the bark in your hand? 5th grade earth related skill? It is not very useful to me. It can only be used as a backup for the time being. Please wait for a moment, fellow Daoist. The cultivator in the middle stage of Jinden shook his head and said politely. Then 2 more people asked about the spirit seeds, including Yulin Sanran who cultivated many spirit plants, but the magic tools and skills they brought out did not satisfy the cultivator in the middle stage of Jinden. Fellow Daoist, can you let me take a closer look at the spirit seeds? After all, this is a 6th grade treasure and cannot be disposed of casually. Lu Xuan made a request to the cultivator. Okay, you can take a look, as long as you don't leave this cave. The cultivator in the middle stage of Jinden agreed readily. Lu Xuan came in front of him and took the piece of gorgeous bark. When the bark touched the skin of the palm, the skin felt a slight itch. It could be felt that it was gently rubbing, as if it was about to merge into Lu Xuan's body. It's really strange. It's just a spiritual seed, but it has such evil characteristics. Lu Xuan sighed, not caring about the surprised eyes of the crowd. With a move of spiritual power, a small pile of pale yellow spiritual soil appeared under his feet. He planted the bark in it, and then concentrated his mind on it, and took it out immediately. Before taking it out, a thought flashed through his mind. The gorgeous corpse skin is a 6th grade spiritual plant. It was made by the evil sect in a foreign land with extremely sinister and evil means. Thousands of virgin skins were tanned into a special bark, so as to obtain a spiritual plant with growth characteristics. The spiritual plant has certain evil characteristics. During the growth process, it needs to absorb the skins of monsters and monks. At the same time, it will confuse the monks' minds and possess them. There is a certain probability that it will occupy the monks' bodies. You need to pay attention to it at all times. After being cultivated to maturity, it can be used to make special magic weapons, or it can be used to practice certain evil magical powers. The way it was obtained is really against the will of heaven. If it is obtained by some evil cultivator, I don't know how many cultivators' skins will be absorbed by this beautiful corpse skin. If it falls into my hands, at least there will be no massacre. Lu Xuan thought secretly. Although he usually has the habit of cultivating evil spiritual plants with flesh, blood, soul, and bones, the way he obtains them is very formal, and there is no other killing. I see that your bark still has charm. It's just right to take it back and improve the appearance of those spiritual plants in the spiritual fields of the underworld. He muttered in his heart, and the idea of exchanging for this piece of gorgeous bark was very firm. Dao Aozang. I have an extremely rare magic weapon in my hand. It has an extraordinary origin and is quite spiritual. If it is used to sacrifice and refine into a magic weapon, it will definitely be a great help to Dao Ao. I wonder if it can be exchanged for the spiritual seed in Dao Ao's hand. When Lu Xuan was about to ask the cultivator in the middle stage of Jianden, an old voice sounded. The skinny old man who had communicated with him before took out a grey copper mirror and handed it to the cultivator in the middle stage of Jianden. It's a good magical tool. The monk checked it, injected spiritual power, and tested the effect of the bronze mirror. He showed some hesitation on his face. Although the value of this bronze mirror is still lower than the spiritual seed in his hand, it is not far behind. Fellow Daoist Zhang, I have a low-level magical power in my hand, called soul-catching blood palm. After practicing it successfully, you can use blood to pollute the enemy's flesh and blood body, specializing in the 3 souls and 7 spirits, making it hard to defend against. Lu Xuan took the blood-colored ancient book out of the storage bag. Low-level magical power. A trace of surprise flashed in the eyes of the middle stage giant and cultivator. His spiritual consciousness briefly swept over the blood-colored book and felt the boundless bloody breath of the blood-colored palm prints in the book and immediately knew that what Lu Xuan said was true. Why would fellow Daoist Lu think of giving this extremely precious low-level magical power to others? The monk asked curiously, and the group of giant and real people around him also looked confused. It was incredible for them to exchange magical powers for spiritual seeds, even if they were 6th grade spiritual seeds. To be honest, this soul-snatching blood palm is a family heirloom of our clan, but it is extremely difficult to comprehend, and the cultivation method is somewhat sinister, which is not suitable for a spiritual plant master like me who is willing to cultivate spiritual plants honestly. Besides, the piece of beautiful corpse skin in the hands of Daoist Zhang is too attractive to a spiritual plant master, so I have to reluctantly give it up and exchange this low-level magical power that has been passed down in our clan for many years with Daoist Zhang. Lu Xuan showed a bitter smile on his face, artificially adding a background to this low-level magical power. Okay, then I will use this 6th grade spiritual seed to exchange Daoist Lu for this magical power. The mid-stage giant and cultivator did not hesitate. Although the skills and instruments that the others brought out were all good, they were either not suitable for him or were obviously less valuable than the low-level magical power, so he naturally made the right choice. Does Daoist Zhang know how to cultivate this beautiful corpse skin? If there is only a spirit seed, but no corresponding cultivation method, I will be at a loss. If you cultivate a 6th grade spirit plant rashly, it may die in the middle of the process, and the loss will be great. Lu Xuan raised an objection. No, but I guess it should be related to the skin bag. If you want to know the details, Daoist Lu needs to study and explore it. How about this, Daoist Lu? I will give you another 30,000 low-grade spirit stones. What do you think? He was quite fond of the soul-catching blood palm, and said after a pause. Thank you very much, Daoist Zhang. I wish you to succeed in practicing this magical power as soon as possible. Lu Xuan agreed happily. The soul-catching blood palm magical power is obtained from the light ball after the spirit plant matures. It can be exchanged for a rare 6th grade spirit seed, and after maturity, it can be rewarded with better treasures. In addition, it comes with 30,000 low-grade spirit stones. Where can such a good thing be found? The two carefully checked and exchanged treasures. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.